and welcome to round 3 of the Isle of Wight Masters. I'm joined again by lovely Keti Satsalashvili.
You're so confident today to say my
I know. I think maybe today was actually worse than yesterday's pronunciation. I'm not sure.
That was very good.
But thank you. And I'm very excited because on board 1 today we have Bobby Cheng, seed 1 of the tournament, against Jovanka Houska, who we were following both of their games yesterday. So it's very nice to see both winners from yesterday's games playing against one another. It's going to be a very exciting matchup.
I'm so much looking forward for this match, actually, because we have seen both players yesterday, and it's such nice pairings for us because we have those who had really good rounds, but yesterday we had double rounds, and today we have only 1 round, so they have, they have to focus only on this one, and I'm sure they will put all in this game.
That's true. I always feel like I'm playing at a higher quality when I only have 1 round in the day. So this is, it's nice also. I guess it's nice when you're playing double round to know that even if it doesn't go your way in the morning, that you get a second chance. But like you said, it's all about this round today. And so we have started with d4 from Jovanka and knight f6, knight f3, c5, and c3, and d5. So it seems I love how Jovanka is so intent on playing this kind of pawn structure for every single opening she plays, you know, with her DNC, and it just seems to suit her, and she knows what she's good at.
I think she has a secret tattoos like here on the hand, C6 and C3.
Yeah, I think she loves C6 and C3.
Yeah.
But this is actually quite interesting. You know, I've never played a position like this. I guess after a move like bishop f4, it's basically just London system, and so I would feel quite happy playing this way against the London system. I like to play this kind of system with early c5. What about you, Keti?
Against London.
Yes. Well, if Jovanka were to play bishop f4, this kind of position. It looks much more...
I also like c5 to get the center. I love to control the center. And this is the setup I want to have. When you're going through the preparation that I'm sure both players went yesterday and analyzing the opponent's games, very often, like, one thing is what you like to play, another thing is what your opponent plays, right? So if Bobby Cheng here plays this Benoni type of positions and Joey says like, oh, I'm not going to go there, and after d5, I'm not going to go to the main continuation, which is like d5, and to have this kind of setup, then you are just finding most like something to get your opponent out of the book, out of the comfort zone. So that can be one way to deal with this. And also, like, she has spent about 5 minutes, maybe even more, like 6 minutes to come up with this move. Like, she spent some time with c3, right? And it can also be third option that maybe c5 was a surprise by Bobby here, and Jovi took some time here, not too much, about like 3 minutes, but still we don't spend 3 minutes on third move, right? It's just
no. But I guess maybe she was deciding, you know, what she was in the mood for playing, and it looks like she has played bishop f4. Now we have a very London type of position, classic London, just through a different move order than usual. And I actually didn't know Jovanka's repertoire. I didn't know if she was a London player or if she plays this a lot. But I think what's been nice has been seeing this kind of opening, like Ding played it in the World Chess Championship, and it's been played by stronger players lately, whereas for a while it was just an opening we associated with beginners playing just all the time, like a system.
Yeah, that's actually right. And also another thing is that Joe is a commentator. She has seen a lot of games, commentated a lot of games, and obviously you can switch very fast when you know 1 or 2 ideas. And you don't necessarily need to go to your main opening. And yeah, I agree with that. Like, lately it became so popular, the London system. for the foreigners, because it's so simple to play, right? You're not risking too much, and your opponent has to find out the proper way to deal with it. Otherwise, we'll have really huge problems. And basically, you're just setting the pawn structure so nicely in the center that that can really, really break it. So that's why it is easy to also memorize, and a lot of people just love to play London. What about you? Are you a London player
No,
or?
well, because I'm playing e4, I've never really learned or played the London. I think, I guess if you're a d4 player anyway, maybe London is a nice thing to have as a second opening because you're kind of familiar with those d4 positions anyway. I guess very different, than pushing c4 is pushing c3. But no, I've never really tried it. I think that when I first started to learn chess, like I said yesterday, I learned the Kreken, and the London was also another opening that Gotham Chess was making these videos about, saying just learn the London. But actually, it was my ex-boyfriend who taught me chess, and he taught me, don't play the London. The London is for people who don't like chess. But I think this is very dramatic way of looking at it. Of course, this is not true when it comes to, higher level games. But I do really understand.
Was he a chess player, like professional?
Not professional, no. He was like 1700, so not at all close to professional, but he was, I guess, just used to seeing people learning the London in this kind of pre-move your opening, don't understand the position way. And this is kind of how beginners try to learn openings anyway, I think, is they just try to memorize the moves without really understanding the reason behind the moves. But this is completely different when you're looking at chess of the level that we're looking at. They're clearly understanding the positions. They're having very strong middle game plans, and it's completely different. But the London did kind of get that reputation for being beginner opening.
Yeah, I agree with that. I agree. But it is quite solid opening, and I like here Jovi's choice that she goes with that. It's very stable, and Black has to. If you want to play against London, you have to do quite some work here. It's not so easy to break this this system. They say that the best way to deal London is to play like systems with G6 and to develop this bishop G7 and to have this kind of setup. But we already had C5 at the beginning. That's the problem of that version. You cannot just take moves back. And yeah, it's just the beginning of the opening, and now we can see knight h5 has been played after some time of thinking. The bishop is under attack right now, and you have to make a decision what to do with this bishop. You can just ignore that and allow Black to capture the bishop, or you can just play bishop to g3. We can actually see that 2 lines if you wish. With bishop g3, what you have to be just careful not to give too much here, like after knight g3, pawn takes h to g3. You have this beautiful semi-open file, right? Like bishop d3 will be next move. And if you play something like h6 in that position, very often, not necessarily here, but very often after some castle and developing moves, White has this beautiful idea g4, g5, and to start the king side after. So, if you do this, then you need to know exactly how to continue to play, and not to play just the simple moves here and castle, then you will get checkmated. If you don't want to do that, then you can give up the bishop on f4 in a way, like instead of bishop g3, you can go pawn takes pawn on c5. And funny enough, this pawn is actually like bishop, take the knight on f4, pawn takes f4. And when you're attacking the pawn on c5 with e6, for instance, you can go b4 here. And you can claim that I just have an extra pawn and I'm just fine in this position.
This is a fun way to play. It reminds me a bit of those like semi-Slavs. When you're playing with Black, you're really trying to keep your extra pawn, but it feels always like you're going to die. But I always find these lines where Black goes for knight h5 5 actually surprisingly give white lots of aggressive ways to play, especially with bishop to g3 and getting the open, semi-open h-file on the rook. Absolutely. I tried to play this way once against the London, and I regretted it because I just ended up getting attacked on the king side. So yeah, there are lots of options to play here, but knight h5 and bishop g3 is what we have seen. What I'm most familiar with is lines with queen b6, which are very common as well, because obviously the dark squared bishop is no longer protecting b2. So often we get these lines with queen b6, queen b3, sometimes with c4 and a queen trade. So
yeah,
so this is very common as well. Still can happen.
Yeah, a lot of people like struggle to find a way how to play against London, and they just don't like London for that reason. But like the best thing, and then they are going through the videos, and like no one really can give you the answer there. But what I found it very useful whenever I have some issues in opening and I don't know how to deal with that, and I'm losing games. I have a coach, and I just ask him very precise question that, like, for the next class, I want to prepare on that, and he gives me the answer right away. So this is very good. Like, if anyone who wants to improve has a questions and like can find the answer in some videos that we have so much these days. There are so many coaches that you can just, I don't know, hire for like 1 or 2 classes and like ask very precise question how to play. He will prepare the materials and show, and the problem is, and this is so easy. Like, oh, and I have done that. I have done it through some opening with black, and I was like, damn, I'm not getting checkmated anymore. This is so relief, so good. And like I felt like I just discovered something so special. So yeah, ask the questions, proper questions, you will get the answers and the problem will be solved.
Yes, for sure. I find it's like kind of having a personal trainer. You need to know what you want to work on, like which muscles you want to work on. Same with chess. It's like, which openings do you feel are weaker? Which positions are you struggling with? And definitely helps if you've spent some time thinking about it. I guess if you're at the lower level, maybe you don't know what your problems are. But like you said yesterday, Katie, a good coach can tell just from looking at your games a lot of the problems that you might have. Shall we take a look at board 2 whilst Bobby has a think here? So let's
do that.
Go on to board 2. We have Sebastian Bogner again on board 2 after a little bit of luck in time trouble helped him to win yesterday against his opponent. Today he has a tougher opponent, international master Daniel Fischer. So they're both playing under the Swiss flag, which is always fun to see same country matchups. You never know if they are teammates.
It's very likely they are teammates.
Yes.
I will do a very, very quick search about that, but very likely they know each other quite well, and it is always a challenge, you know. Like, I know the people like who travels from the same country, they don't like to play against each other because like you can basically county and you're spending so many energy and money to travel in to play the tournament, and then you play against your teammate.
I totally agree. This is very frustrating when you're traveling and you play against a friend or something like this. And especially, I guess, if you're a teammate, sometimes there is pressure to keep the peace, you know, and obviously we sometimes see that draws are happening between players who know each other very well. And I mean, you can't blame them sometimes.
Yeah. It is not very comfortable unless you are friends and you make draws. Otherwise, it is still a competition. Chess is not it's not a team sport, right? So you are fighting
of course.
for your place in the Olympic team, or I don't know, to get the sponsorship or to get the stipend. And you always want to prove that you are still the best and the better. So it is always a competition. I've never had any friendly draw. Like, can you believe I'm playing like so many years? I don't say how many years I am playing, because then it's very clear how old I am. But I never had ever in my life any friendly draw, which is really sad. I have a lot of friends in chess world, But on the other hand, it also keeps the competition keeps very good quality of the games, right? You are trying to find
Yes,
the
of
best
course.
to win.
Yes, and it's nice to see that, you know, you're playing in the spirit of the game, which is, of course, always to win. You're always trying to win. Shall we just go back a little bit and see how we got to this position in the Benoni? So
Yeah,
have d4. And so originally maybe going for some kind of Catalan, like is possible to transpose into here. But we end up having a Benoni. How do you feel about the Benoni? Do you enjoy playing against it?
I like Benoni. I think it's very nice opening. It's very sharp, obviously, because you have this bishop, and very often black is sacrificing the pawn on the queen side to have open files. I very often give the advice to my students to go for Benoni against d4 because it's very sharp and not so hard to memorize the lines as well. The thing is that maybe after g3, black did not want to go to the standard Catalan positions.
Right.
So, you know, not so tempting for black, like this one. And here, like if we go to the next moves, like castle and rook e8, h3 has happened. Like black's moves are like quite pretty simple here. Like he can go knight to d7 next move, knight to e5. This is an idea. You can also start to play something like a6 and b5. If you manage to push b5 safely, then you have a lot of space advantage on the queen side to push b4. And if you get this knight off the board from c3, you control then the center as well. Like you can get knight on d4 as well. And it's not a good position. So what white has to do against all this plan is you have to play a4 and you have to stop b5 as far as possible. Right. And another plan that white can do here is to play knight to d2. Knight to c4, and then bishop to f4 to attack the pawn on d6, because this pawn is actually here.
Yes, these are really nice plans. And as somebody who is not a Catalan player and not a Benoni player, I'm not familiar with them, but this makes a lot of sense. Of course, black is wanting to play on the queen side here, and a4 seems perfectly logical to stop this. This is very different from the Catalan we saw yesterday, of course, because it's no longer Catalan.
Yeah, it's Benoni now. Yeah.
Yes. But it's nice. I don't see that many Benonis. I don't know any Benoni players. So it's really one of those openings that I've not got any experience in at all.
Yeah, it's not so popular these days. When I was playing chess, everybody was playing Benoni, and I
really
struggled to go. Yeah, and like you know, you like the openings that you don't play, but your opponents play, and they have good position. And I was like, I wish to play also Benoni. Of course, there are some possibilities that you can get the advantage with white because it's a little bit passive setup too. But I'm happy to have this one here actually on the second board. Just to summarize shortly what's the ideas here for both sides. So we have seen one idea of knight d2, knight c4. This is the most common idea, and you have to make sure that you also have a4. Don't be afraid that you are weakening b4 square, because basically that's not too bad. Like you have to control b5. Black has to go with, we mentioned about a6. So after a6, black also weakens b6 square. So with the knight c4 and pawn on e4, you can also play a5 and knight b6 there to control that side. So once it's fixed, the queen side, then you want to play e4, f4, and e5. And if you manage to do that safely and you break the center, then white will have huge advantage in the center of the king side. And then that's when your bishop on g2 will start to play a big role, because if the diagonal will be open, this bishop will create a lot of threats. So that's the white's idea here. The black's idea to stop that is actually to play knight to d7 and f5. So black is also stopping knight f. to d7 or knight to a5 and then to play f5. Yeah.
Right.
Possibility.
But after, we have moved our b knight and tried to go for a6, right?
Yeah, you can also do knight a6, knight c7. That's another idea. And then a6. So you're gonna have knight also supporting b5.
For sure. Okay, well, it seems like Black is starting to think a little bit here about their next move. We can take a look maybe at Alexandra Prado's game because we have her camera today, so it's nice to check in. So for those of you who are maybe not as familiar with streamers, Alexandra Prado is streaming this event. She's the only streamer at the Isle of Wight streaming her own games. So it's always nice to see people sharing with their community. And we have a Caro-Kann, so opening we've been talking a lot about for the past 2 streams. And do you know what? I actually am not a big enjoyer of playing against the Caro-Kann. I think I've tried to play against it a couple of different ways. There's this like Alpha 0 line or something with d3 where you go for an early queen trade. And I've tried this and it's not so fun. And, I just started playing the exchange. But it's not so fun either. But yeah, I think advance is probably the best way to play.
I think it's the best, yeah.
Yes. And this is the newer main line for the advance, right, for Black. So actually, usually bishop to f5 is the move, but c5 is very popular now. And challenging the pawn in the center right away. So, and taking with the queen, we allow this tempo to get nice active queen. And we have slight error already here with queen to c7. So Alexandra Prado yesterday, she unfortunately lost her game against a WFM. So today she's playing lower rated player. So we can assume maybe that her opponent is not super prepared for theory as compared to her opponent yesterday. So maybe, I'm not sure how familiar this idea with queen d5, queen d4, queen f4 is. It seems that we only have 1 game ever reached here, but I guess this is after this slight inaccuracy of queen c7. This is still relatively normal. I mean, for somebody who used to play the Caro-Kann, you always try to play e6 as soon as possible because in a lot of lines, there's very aggressive ideas from white to even play e6 with a sacrifice because it opens up these light squares around the king. So of course, you're always wanting to play e6 very quickly. But I guess as a Caro-Kann player, you never want to stop your bishop from getting out. Now you feel like a French defense player. And so I guess maybe this is the reason why Black has delayed e6 for 1 move.
Yeah.
And now we are seeing it.
It is not very common situation when both players play with the
queen so early.
Yeah, why queen on f4? Why not bishop? A lot of questions, but our mindset is so different now compared to what we learned earlier because of the engines. We are also more we see other things too, this queen on f4. Basically, she brought this to have on the king side already, and stopping Black's ideas here, the natural ideas, whatever it is, like f6 or to develop on the king side, and it looks actually scary for many people. And queen c7 is an inaccuracy because of the tactical motives here. Alexandra already made bishop d3 move, but instead she could play knight b5. Going after the queen, and the point being here that you have to move the queen, doesn't matter on b8 or b6, wherever the queen goes. Then you are controlling a lot of dark squares, and you can somewhere play actually knight d6, and it can be very, very unpleasant. So you can do this way, or you can get this knight on d4. and to blockade that pawn on d5, and you will play that slow bishop to d3. You'll castle short, or you'll play h4 and knight g5. This kind of ideas, and it's like super unpleasant for black.
Yes, this is very, very aggressive way to play. And I know that Alexandra really loves to attack. So I'm not surprised here that she has moved her queen over to the king side. She wants a win today. I guess after her game yesterday was very frustrating to lose in a long end game. You really come back wanting to play like a very energetic, aggressive game of chess. And she has great position. This is really nice. Engine's giving her just a very slight edge, but it's hard when you're at the board to feel it. Like, you know, you're never thinking. I mean, you're never sat there at the board on move 8 thinking, I wonder if I am +1.
You better not. Otherwise you call it cheating. Like, you better not.
No. But I mean, from a human level, it's very easy to see here that we have 4 nicely developed pieces and are ready to castle, and black simply cannot say the same. So this is how we think about it in human terms. Yeah.
It is very nice move, unless because I played myself Kreken, and I know how uncomfortable it is when knight gets on d4. It's blockading everything. Controls knight on d4 is. It's this kind of octopus knight controlling whole center, king side, queen side, and I don't have a counterplay, so I'm trying to avoid that. But if you don't get this knight on d4, you can still continue your plan, and bishop d3 is a normal move here.
Right.
White will do some kind of setup to get the Greek gift here. It's a possibility to get the Greek gift in this setup. Whenever black castles, you just go here with this bishop h7, sacrifice knight g5, and then checkmate. And here the problem for black is to develop the dark square bishop and the knight on g8. They both want to go on e7, and there's only one square there. So this might be a bit of struggle here for black's development. And if you get knight on e7 and knight on g6, then h4, h5 will stop that happening, right?
Yes, yeah.
And if you get the bishop on e7, then you have this this move queen g3 to go after g7 pawn. That's why it's on the king side now, to make all these problems on g7 square. So black will have a struggle to develop the king side pieces for sure.
Yes, and this is one of the things I found very frustrating about the Kreken in general, was sometimes this slower kingside development, especially if you're playing somebody who likes to attack you on the kingside. I guess here my only concern as white would be some kind of knight b4 to go after the bishop. It seems very natural, seeing as this bishop is going to be a very, very strong piece. And I guess this seems to make a lot of sense. And would you, Ketty, would you prefer to save your bishop here, or would you just castle and let them take?
Yeah, I really like this light square bishop because of the Greek gift idea. I've never done in my life any Greek gift, so I really want to have that once in my life, and like it's not so easy. This is possibility here, but the thing is that you can't really move the bishop away, right? Like pawn on c2 is hanging. You can give a check on b5, but like in the end of the day, it will be still fine if we just give this bishop. Let's say castle here. Black will take the bishop. We will take with a pawn now, and additionally we have open c file, and it's gonna be us who will get it first, because like our next moves will be bishop to e3 and rook to c1 and knight b5, and you can't really stop that happening. You still have the kingside pieces not developed. Look at rook, knight, bishop has not moved away. This is a problem here, the kingside. And additionally, you're giving me open c file, and now I'm going to have also the plan on the queen side too. So basically, to open up the c file just to get the light square bishop is good option for white.
Yes, and white gets loads of activity here. This would be a very, very nice position for Alexandra. Shall we take a look at board 3? We didn't look so much yesterday at board 3 because we don't have a specific camera for board 3, but will still be obviously a very nice game. So we have Ameet Ghasi, who won his game yesterday Grandmaster 2506 from England, playing today against FIDE Master Eivind Kreken from Norway, 2285. And we have a Tarash defense, so started with an English. And okay, Katie, you know how yesterday you were very disappointed to hear that I was playing the Caracan when I was a beginner? I'm going to say something that's going to break you.
Wait, let me get ready.
So when I first started to play over the board chess, I was playing C4, the English opening, as like a relative beginner, like 1400, and it just wasn't suitable.
Oh no, it's too much theory, right?
Yes, it's much too complicated when you're not already familiar with like these d4 setups. And when I switched to e4, honestly, I started to win so many more games because you get these opportunities to attack that in a lot of c4 systems you're not getting because the games are much slower and more positional.
There's a lot, like we connected all the dots now.
Yes.
Why you like more positional game and strategic games is that you just had this at the beginning you were playing this kind of position. So if you play e4, that's why most of the players are starting with e4, like when you're starting to play chess, because you're learning how to attack the king, and in the end of the day, the person who attacks the king wins the most of the games.
Exactly. Yes. Exactly.
That, and it's kind of chilling. Like you start with 1 e4, then very often you switch to the sidelines. Like you go first one like open Sicilian, then you switch to sidelines like e4 c3 or e4 then knight f3 c3 or the Moscow lines or like the sidelines, and then you're switching to d4 openings. And for me, c4 and knight to f3 first moves, they are kind of like third level, like the most advanced, because like you know a lot of setups in e4, you know a lot of setups in d4, and now you are looking for something else.
I totally agree, and I just wasn't ready.
As a professional chess player,
yes,
to have more than one opening, because it will be very hard for your opponent to predict what you're gonna play. That's why when we have these super grandmasters, they can play a 1a3 and they can switch this into some very nice setup because they have so much knowledge. And yeah, like I have a feeling you started from somewhere in the middle and oh no.
Yes.
Yeah. I like actually English very much. I like it very much. It's very interesting.
Yes, it's just very complicated, of course, because it's very transpositional. So, you know, a lot can happen. And here, like I said, we end up transposing anyway into Queen's Gambit declined and then into a kind of Tarash. So here I think that, of course, at any time you can end up having this isolated pawn. Now, so we have the isolated pawn. Of course, whenever you're thinking of taking a c-pawn like this, you usually wait for them to have moved the bishop once, so you make them spend a second tempo to move the bishop again to recapture. This is very normal. And now black has this isolated pawn position, and we talked a little bit yesterday about isolated pawns, which I told you I avoid at all costs because they really do favor the attacking player, so somebody who's enjoying trying to go for checkmate. And so when we are playing against the isolated pawn, for the people in chat maybe who are not so familiar, we want to usually blockade it, and we like to trade minor pieces. This will be a weakness in the end game if black does not manage to get a nice attack on white. So it makes sense that we want to control the square in front of the pawn.
Okay.
And okay, and this is very interesting. Now,
yeah, you don't necessarily give up the bishop for just like that, right? So black is planning to do something about it. what can be the reason of that? It's maybe some sort of tactical reason. Like, can we like bishop f3, something like queen to d7 to go after h3 pawn, the knight on a4, and you want to play d4. So queen d7, bishop g2, and something like, should we push d4 or rook to d8 or? Not a big fan of giving up the bishop, to be honest.
No, exactly, especially when it's the light squared bishop, and this light squared bishop now is uncontested, very, very strong piece. But I guess so it was exactly going down this line that you were talking about. D4 is one of these top engine moves now. And of course, if you're the side playing with the isolated pawn, then sometimes you're sacrificing it, sometimes you're just pushing it. It can be definitely nice to have all of this space. And I mean, obviously we cannot take it, so I guess we have to move. Yeah, I guess trading off the bishop just to play d4. Now the knight on a4 is looking a bit silly. And actually, as somebody in chat is saying, threat of b5, the knight is trapped then if b5 is played.
Yeah, this knight on a4, actually, the reason the knight a4 happened is to get the knight c5 to go on the square, dark squares. But yeah, bishop f3 is a pure calculation here. Like, there's some tactical motives. And do we have? I think we have moves on the board, or
I only have up to bishop takes f3, and we don't have a camera for this one.
Okay, it was different.
Yeah. So I guess I mean, White has been thinking a little bit here. They're down some time on the clock, so maybe they're just deciding, I guess, if they want to take e takes, which is definitely a choice. But then I would be concerned that this pawn is passed in the ending. But bishop takes seems like the natural move to me. We can maybe go back and look at board 1.
Yeah, we can do that. There's some games missing. I think either we don't have the pigeons or they have not started yet.
It's possible maybe some people are late.
Okay. What is the rule of taking by? Are you getting the half point or you're not getting the point?
This is a good question. I assume there are half point buys. It's quite rare for open tournaments to not have half point buys, but I'll take a quick look.
Yeah, because in France you can take a buy and you can get half a point.
Yes.
In Spain, it depends in which country. In Spain, for instance, for buy you're not getting any point. In Germany, we have some people from Germany. I guess they can help us with that. So there's a possibility to take a buy if you guys have never heard about that. So out of 9 rounds or sometimes 10 rounds, you can inform the arbiter and the organizer like far advance. They make the next round pairings, and you can just say that I would like to have a buy, and you just don't play at that time. So for me, like at this point, it is a bit tough to play the long open tournaments because I like to play long games, as I mentioned yesterday, and on top of that, I'm also working. Right, I have to do my work too, and it's quite frustrating when you're doing 2 things at the same time. And for that reason, for me, it is quite comfortable to take a buy and just not play, just get a rest, work, and then come back and play next rounds. But in that case, you will play only 8 rounds, and for you, the norm is slimmer.
Yes, exactly. For players who are hoping for prizes or norms, taking a buy is not always very, very helpful for that. So I did just check the website. You can have 2 half-point buys, no buy in the final round, which is obviously so you cannot fix prizes. And then players on conditions may only take 1 buy. So this means, lots of grandmasters will have received some kind of condition, and then they're encouraged to play.
They can take by. So
Yes.
if you
they can take one, but not two.
Okay.
Yeah. And there was one tournament actually I was considering playing here in France where you took a buy, it was 0 points. But I totally agree with you that I would say the vast majority you get a half point buy, at least one. And I also like to usually take about one buy, because when you're streaming and making the recap videos, it's a lot of extra that you're doing at the tournament. Can be very, very time consuming, and sometimes 9 rounds is a lot, especially if you have lots of double rounds. Actually, in my last tournament, I didn't take a buy, but somebody did default against me. So I played 8 games. Yeah, so I got a full point buy, basically, because my opponent didn't show up. But anyway, going back to this board 1 game, we left off here after bishop to g3, and after 5 minutes, Bobby decided to take. We have h takes, of course. e6 seems perfectly natural. Knight to b2, normal London developing move. This knight always goes here. And then g6. So as you said, it's possible to play g6. I guess it does seem like this bishop supports c5, but you can always clarify the position in the center if you feel the need to, or not.
The thing is that you have to deal with this pawn structure. Either you play h6 or g6, and as white has the bishop on d3, obviously you want to limit this as much as possible. So after bishop to d3, now the pawn on h7 is not hanging, and black can play queen to b6. You were talking about this idea earlier, to play queen to b6 to provocate white to on b2 pawn, right? So in some cases this pawn is not really hanging, it's a poison pawn, but in this case it is hanging. So if you just castle here or do some waiting move, black will capture the pawn on b2 and then on c3. So actually white has to play something here, either queen to b3 or queen c2. Queen c1 never works actually, or rook to b1 is also an option. But what is not really good here is queen b3. I think queen b3 loses right away. To c4. Not loses, actually, it just gets worse.
Yes, well, I guess you can always take here, so you're not losing the piece, but it's definitely
bishop has to go, and now you play b5.
Yeah.
And point being here that if black managed to get b4 very quickly and get rid of the double pawns, you have weakness on c3. And in these cases, after b5, you have to be on time to play a3.
Yes, and so you need to have castled and connected your rooks.
Yeah. So you can make 2 moves. Basically, it's illegal, and because of that, black has here, I think, quite distant advantage.
Yes, I would be happy to play this position as black as well. I'm usually play these queen b6 anyway, so I'm usually quite happy when I get this counterplay on the queen side.
Yeah.
But yes, so our top engine move, rook b1, a bit different to like usual responses of moving the queen, but it seems to make sense. And then, I mean, sometimes you can just take here, but I think in this position you can't because of queen takes b2. But sometimes you can take with a tempo first and get something for it, but here not so much. I mean, I think this knight h5 plan and going for the bishop is completely valid, but I think for Jovanka, she is playing a lot of the time positions where she's traded off one of the bishops anyway. So like in the Kreken, she's used to not having the bishop pair. So taking her bishop pair is not going to
not a big deal for me. Take it.
Yeah, exactly. It's not like she is a player who is always obsessed with having the bishop pair. So let's take a look maybe at board 2, which was our Benoni defense, and quite a lot has happened. Quite a lot has changed here. So we were over here with h3 was our last move. We have bishop to d7 and a4. So, of course, any move that supports b5, like you were saying earlier, you need to prevent. Knight to e4. Takes. Knight to d2. So this is the plan to at some point put it here. Rook to b4. Wow, okay, so this rook has gone on a journey. Okay, this is a bit crazy. And now, okay, rook to a2 defending our pawn here. Okay, this is very unique position.
Okay. The thing is that you don't want this to happen, because whenever rook gets on before it can get ugly for white. I'm not sure about white's position anymore. The thing is that like rook a2 has been played now, obviously to guard the pawn on b2, and perhaps he has to do something like b3 next move and bishop to a3 to
chase the rook.
Yeah. So in these kind of positions, very often Black himself plays c4 here to stop that happening and to get a space advantage. But I think it's not working here because of queen c2, and you can just go right after. Or there's knight e4 too.
Right, just attacking the weaknesses in Black's pawn structure. So so if knight to a6 and your b3 move here, making a lot of sense. And if something random, can we just go after this rook?
Rook d4. This rook is really annoying.
It's very annoying, but can we just continue to chase it away? And okay, this is very annoying. You know what? I've never seen this because, of course, I've never played Benoni, and I didn't know that you could have this Pac-Man rook that's coming in and terrorizing the board.
Yeah, and you can attach it. That's the worst thing about this rook. I have chased so much in my life the rook, and then the best thing about how to catch this rook is not to allow knight e4 happening. Like never allow the rook to get in there, because like it's so annoying.
Right, so knight e4 here. Maybe capturing is a little bit too compliant, or you think it's really the only move?
It's not only the move, but h3 was a bit of like sideline. Instead of h3, there's knight d2, and knight d2 also stops knight e4 happening. Like
right, going immediately for the rerouting and just being
But
yes,
after
this is nice.
Black here very often plays knight g4, knight e5, so you get the e5 square controlled. And to avoid that, White wanted to avoid knight g4 idea.
With
playing h3.
Yes. So White is trying to avoid too many things at once, and managed to allow this very annoying rook to come into the territory, which is so funny because, you know, we've still got some undeveloped pieces over here. But this rook is actually surprisingly so annoying, and he's just on its own. Like usually when you're learning chess, you learn that one piece can't really do any damage on its own. You need multiple pieces. But this rook is really annoying.
It's super annoying.
It's very funny. We said somebody in our chat was saying board 6 looks wild. So maybe we can just take a very, very quick look at board 6 just to see if something crazy is going on. And that's true. There is a white pawn on b6 already. So this does look kind of crazy. Can have a quick look.
Yeah, let's start from there. We have so many these setups today with c5, right?
Right. Yeah, we do. So we have d4. And this c5. And this is exactly like, well, very similar to what you were saying earlier, with just holding on to a pawn with b4. And
yeah, it's free to stop knight g4 happening.
Yes. to stop the bishop from being chased. And now these are some really, really crazy pawn pushes.
Never seen.
No, I think that, in an endgame, this can be very, very annoying for black. If white manages to keep hold of them. Of course, if white blunders one of these pawns, then they'll be in big trouble. Wow.
Yeah, the thing is that I'm going after these pawns like knight a6 now, for instance.
Right.
And
we cannot defend like this because of a4. So only answer that I see from the engine is to push. And start making threats.
Yeah.
So I guess we can afford to do this because we're up a pawn and you have the constant threat of b7 looming.
Right. I'm just thinking, to avoid all this counterplay, can black play instead of knight a6 to play knight f to d7 and to keep knight on b8 to avoid c6.
Right. Yeah, this is very nice. You're controlling everything. And I think now white is just losing the pawn. So
yeah, this is possible.
This is really nice.
The games are pretty wild today, actually.
Yes, I love it though. It's so fun to watch. Maybe we can take a quick look at Alexandra Prado now, because we have some developments in her position. So a6, preventing knight b5. So she had one opportunity to play this knight b5 idea to chase the queen, and her opponent has taken it away, which is very sensible. Castles, knight g7, rook e1, and knight g6. So I guess something you're always thinking about as white is pushing your h-pawn. Like, you're always thinking about it.
Yeah, push it. Push first and then think.
Yes, push it first and think later. And I always hate it when people are just trying to checkmate me as soon as possible, pushing their f and h pawns down the board. Of course, the queen is hanging, so you cannot do it. You have to move your queen out of the way first. But really, this knight can sometimes be a bit of a target for the h-pawn. Of course, it's very principled. We want to attack e5.
Oh, sorry.
Bless you. And really, in these openings like the Caracan and the French, you take the compromise of having less space in order to have very clear plans to attack white's center, and you try to argue that white has in some way overextended their center and go after these central pawns, because you have this super, super solid structure with all of your pawns on these light squares. But of course, it's always a target. Always.
Yeah, I agree with that. You can actually do this h4, h5 way later.
Yes.
Right, like, where are you going? And the most important here is to stop f6 happening, which is not possible because bishop from d3 attacks the knight on g6.
Yes,
right?
Exactly. And this would be very devastating for the king if we started coming in with checks. So I guess, yes, actually keeping it a secret that you're going to push this pawn, waiting for black to castle into your attack is definitely one way to do it. And it looks like a move has been made, but I'm not able to. Queen g3, perfect. So this makes perfect sense. Probably the best place for the queen anyway. So Alexandra spent quite a long time deciding to castle there. She spent almost 20 minutes. And we saw this yesterday as well. She had a couple of longer thinks in the opening where she seemed to be kind of deciding which path to go down. Deciding here to castle instead of, I guess, instead of developing the bishop or moving the queen. But I don't know.
Position for white here, like
Yeah.
by the time it will be increased more and more for white, and black has to find a counterplay here. You cannot just make next moves, and the counterplay is on the queen side, but still black is not fast. Maybe black should start to play b5 before to get something on the queen side. And not necessarily play on the king side, knight g6, bishop e7 in castle, because like you're going to danger by yourself. So just it may be better to keep this king here. Meanwhile, there is already quite tense position on one of the low boards.
Okay.
On board 21, if we can just go there. I think this game will end it very soon. It is Grandmaster. Yeah, this one.
This one, Boris.
Boris.
Yes.
Chatal.
Yes, we saw a little bit of Boris's game yesterday. And I remember he lost against a lower rated opponent. So today he's playing someone much lower than him. So
yeah, and he totally tricked him. Maybe we can just quickly see this part, just the normal game here. Yeah, just playing some ideas. And black has open C file, so my open C file, and white went here in queen to f4.
Right.
Looks like fine move. You want to play bishop f6. Weaken the dark squares. Black can't really castle. There's also this queen b8 check to go after b7. Like everything seems so fine, and then black plays f6 here himself. And this pawn is hanging, and it's a good move actually, and it's a winning move because the bishop is trapped. You can't move this bishop. If you take the pawn on f6, then there is a rook to f8. I don't know if I can castle there. Castle could be so fancy though.
It's very similar, I suppose.
Yeah, look at this. Like so, and
maybe castles is better.
You're just winning this year.
Yes, this is very nice. Very nice pin, and I'm sure that Boris is well aware of this position. Otherwise, he would not have played f6 in.
There was a
clearly the best move. Yeah. No, this is very, very nice. Wow, and we saw a bit of an awkward bishop white had yesterday in like a slightly similar position where the f-pawn push was a threat. And this is very nice. And yes, like I think this game will be a quick one as well. Especially playing down a piece to a grandmaster is not something you want to do.
Yeah, okay. As you have been to this location, to the it's island, right?
Yes, Isle of Wight, yes.
So if you like end your game early, then what you do? What's the activity you would like to do there?
Okay, so Isle of Wight is actually quite big. I'm from a much smaller island. Isle of Wight, you really need some like car or something to get around. But when I went, okay, this is gonna sound a bit crazy. I went to an alpaca farm where you got to pet alpacas and lead them around a field. And feed them.
So cool.
Yeah.
Alpacas. That's so cool.
So this would be one of my activities if I finished my game very early that I would be thinking of doing. If we were
so cool.
If we were at a different time of year, if we were in the summer, then I would probably say go to the beach. Because of course there are some beautiful beaches, but in February it's going to be much too cold. I guess you can go for a walk and look at the countryside, the scenery, the coastline. This is always a nice thing to do when you're at a chess tournament to clear your head. Go for a nice long walk. So I guess these would be my top activities. I'm not sure so much what the shopping is like. I didn't go shopping when I was there. But you know, it's an island. You can also get the ferry only only 20 or 30 minutes to the mainland, to England. So this is also possible to do. If you take a buy one day, you can go to England and have a day trip.
Mm-hmm.
But when I went, it was very much like the beginning of September, so it was still quite warm and it was nice weather, and really I was just outside a lot. So this time of year, I'm not the best person to ask.
Yeah, you don't like cold weather. I don't like cold weather.
I don't. And it's been so cold in Paris for the past couple of weeks. It's been around 0 degrees. I'm hating it so much. I can't wait for spring and summer, honestly.
I'm living in -7, so
-7. Wow.
yeah,
Yeah. So I guess what I would do is go for a nice walk, because it's going to be very beautiful. Lots of nature. We have a question. How many of the boards have cams? So today we have cameras for boards 1 and 2. We also have a general camera of the playing hall. And then we have Alexandra's camera, which she has very kindly provided us with from her stream, where she is having commentary just of her game. So today we've got 4 cameras, which is nice. Yesterday we had 3 cameras, so adding an extra camera.
Every day
nice.
there will be.
Yes.
One more camera.
And I was just looking actually at the general camera, seeing some people walk around, seeing Alexandra walk around with her big coat on. So I'm guessing it's cold in the playing hall.
Yeah, I'm trying to figure it out. Is it really cold there? Because we have some people who in the big, massive coats, and there are some people in t-shirt and shorts. So
yeah.
I'm very confused to understand what is happening there.
I have heard from potentially unreliable source, Mr. Dodgy, that he's finding it very cold in the playing hall. So I always get cold though when I'm playing a chess game, because you're sitting and you're not moving. So even if when I arrive I'm hot because I'm all nervous about the game, I get very, very cold.
Walking as well,
yeah. So personally, I would be wrapped up in my coat, but I guess also. Like this guy in the t-shirt right in front of us, sometimes you have that adrenaline running through you when you're playing that you don't really feel it. You don't really sense the cold, so it's possible.
Yeah, or they're Polish. They're like 4 Polish players.
Oh, yes.
And they're going shorts outside. It's so crazy for me. It is freaking cold, and they're in shorts and t-shirts.
Yes.
It's very difficult to define the temperature. What's the best temperature, right? It was a lot of conversation about, I think it was a candidates tournament, because I hate when it's cold. And also some people don't like when it's too hot, especially when you have like hundreds of people in this same playing venue. It's getting sometimes
this is true.
too much. But like it's very hard for me to think and focus when it's cold. Like I can't feel my fingers. So it's much better to be warmer, because you can walk outside, or you can just be in, like you can take the coat off, rather than to always, I don't know, plain gloves and a scarf and hat.
Yes, absolutely. I totally agree. If it's too cold, my brain stops working. I can't do it. Yeah. Absolutely. I played a tournament once in Paris in July, and it was very hot. It was in a sports hall like this, so there was no air conditioning, and it was like heat wave, so it was like 30 or 35 degrees, but I still preferred it to playing a cold tournament. I remember when I was when I went to the 2022 Olympiad, so I was playing here for Ghasi in Chennai in India, and it was obviously very hot in India, but in the playing hall there was so much air conditioning that like the score sheets were being blown off the tables. Like we had to ask them to turn it down because people were losing their score sheets. So and then you would go out after your game and you would be, wearing your big jumper, and suddenly it's 40 degrees.
Oh yes, I did something similar I played in Sharjah. It's one of my favorite tournaments. Actually, guys, if you're looking for tournaments, is this Mr. Dodgy? Just walk in.
Oh, I missed him if there was. We can take a quick look at Mr. Dodgy's game as well.
Yeah.
I'll find it. Because we are streaming to Mr. Dodgy's channel. And Mr. Dodgy is always, for some reason, wearing shorts. But I guess he lives in...
And he says it's cold there, like if you wear shorts.
Yes, exactly. But he lives in the very north of Sweden, where it snows for 7 months a year or something crazy. So he is very used to the colds. Okay, so take a quick look at Mr. Dodgy's game. I know he is having a bit of a tough tournament so far. He's playing 1955 rated player with the white pieces, and Mr. Dodgy loves to prepare. And he did coach me for a little bit when I was doing the Olympiad, and he always said to me, you know, if you know that they're going to play like Slav or Queen's Gambit Decline, then you just play the exchange variation. White gets a nice position and black is a bit bored. This is what he told me. But, you know, I'm not a D4 player. So, I mean, I'm not a D4 player, but this all seems very normal. So this one idea is to play E4, F3, E4, and expand in the center.
Right. What black is doing here is, with all this setup, knight f8, knight a6, g6, black wants to play knight g7 next move and to play bishop f5 to make sure that light square bishop is off the board and you get rid of the bishop on c8. It's not doing much. That's one way. If you also manage to trade the dark square bishop with knight h5 or knight d7, that will be even better. You need to trade as much pieces as possible here, because then you will hit the pawn on e7, e3.
Yes.
Without pawns, all the moves like e4 or so in the center will be just a weakness. And on the other hand, white has to keep this bishop alive. So let's say bishop to f2 will be the next move, and e4 is the ultimate goal here for white to play to get the space advantage. They actually played a lot of moves here.
Yes, we still have about 6 moves to go. So both sides are just completing their development, and
yeah, I like how black has started here to side.
Yes, black is doing a nice job now at activating these pieces that were not doing so much before. And now knight to a4 to chase the queen. And rook to c1. So white has switched over to the queen side because that's where black is trying to get the activity. And I mean, I always thought that Mr. Dodgy would be an aggressive player, but actually he's quite positional.
Because of his tweets?
Yeah, exactly, because of his tweets. Yeah, but actually he's quite patient. He can be very patient.
I had this same feeling, that's why I got it the second when he went, but not on chess-wise. I have never seen him playing, actually. Like, his game is the first time.
You've never... Honestly...
But when I saw him in person, and I was like, oh, I thought he would be more aggressive person.
Do you know what? I totally agree. The first time I met Mr. Dodgy, and I'm quite tall, and I was quite a lot taller than him, and I was like, oh, he's not so scary. I'm not afraid of Mr. Dodgy.
Yeah, and he had the purple hair or something, like.
Oh yes, he had pink. He had a pink beard. Was it?
Yeah. And I was like, what? Is this really him, or like maybe another person? It was, I totally get that feeling.
Yeah,
he's not scary in life.
But I really liked your idea that you were saying before about trying to go for knight g7, bishop to, and then developing the bishop to f5. So, I mean, black did definitely try to get some activity here, but what you were saying seemed extremely logical and very normal, because whenever I'm playing against these kinds of setups where there's this queen and bishop battery looking all the way over at my king side. I'm always concerned about it. I'm always trying to find a way to trade off that light squared bishop. So it's very interesting to me that they've gone for this bishop to b7. I guess they were wanting at some point to push here, but it's not super simple right now.
The thing is that now black has created the weaknesses already on c6 and a7. Those are already 2 weaknesses, which is very good for white. White is trying so hard to get these weaknesses, and black created himself by that, by playing b4. So now this idea of to get rid of the light square bishop is not so good, because you need this bishop to guard the pawn on c6.
Yes.
Maybe what you can do here is to try to push c5.
So
that's what
but we need to prepare it, or somehow
let's try to do it right now. It's on our game.
Okay. So I guess the bonus that black has is that there is a queen here on this side. So
exactly, and c4 is a threat. So I think context pawn is the logical move here to play. Then we're gonna play knight to c5, and now we want to play. If it's my move, I will play next move knight e4 and get this bishop on f2 and weaken the pawn on e3. So maybe we should just take the knight on c5, knight c5, bishop takes c5.
And I guess we need to move this queen out of any discovery.
Queen d2 is a little bit too passive, because after queen d2 there's queen b6. I think queen b3 is a fine move to go after the bishop on b7.
Yes, this is nice danger levels. So obviously the bishop has to be addressed before you can take this pawn on e3.
Yeah, queen b6 actually forces the trades here. Queen b6. Queen b6 has to be taken, otherwise pawn on e3 is hanging. And we might have this end game here, like, I don't know, rook takes knight d4, or knight d4 right away.
Knight d4. Okay.
I think this is the most solid for black. Otherwise, if you delay c5, white will try to control the square, and black will have very bad position. Yeah.
Right. Yes. Because you can't let your bishop live here forever, protecting c6. It's too depressing, and there's nothing worse than having a bad piece. So yeah, this seems like a very practical way to try to break free of the position. And it is black's turn. So maybe they'll spend some time thinking about this here, about trying to play c5 right away.
Meanwhile, we might have some updates on the other boards. We have on the board 2 some of the changes, and also board 3. We can go there.
Yes, we do. So I'm on board 2, and this is with our crazy rook. So knight to a6 continuation, and b3. So actually just exactly what we looked at. And b5 takes and knight c7, yes. Knight c4, knight takes, and bishop. So instead of playing bishop here, obviously, because knight would take, we will harass the rook here.
Yeah, also your second knight c3. Knight c3 was a serious threat.
Yes, of course. So I guess it's not such a big deal that this rook cannot be saved, because
a5 has been played. Wow. Actually, black could just play knight c3 and save this rook.
Yes.
But he decided to give up the exchange, which is actually very smart. Let's see what happens after bishop to b4.
And now you must prevent this from happening to you on the next turn. So
yeah,
I guess knight c3 will always come anyway. And this knight is very, very strong now. And it's on a beautiful outpost. controlling a lot of squares and a lot of important squares in the center as well.
Absolutely, it is. I think it is even stronger than rook here in this position, so it is worth it is to sacrifice the exchange here. And also black has a very dangerous plan here with a4 somewhere to actually create a pass pawn on the queen side, and together with the bishop on g7, knight on c3, the pawn on b4 will be a monster, and it will just draw like b3 b2 right away and to promote the until the end. There's also bishop b5 idea to just go after the knight on c4. So this is pretty nice sacrifice. I love how Daniel Fischer actually plays. Oh, his last name is Fischer. Not bad.
Yes. And it's spelled exactly the same as well. Yeah. No, this is a very beautiful positional sacrifice. I guess you don't have to take it though. And I suppose this is what Sebastian Bogner is thinking about, is if he wants to take and allow this position. Or if, you know, he wants to just leave the rook here, because I guess the rook here is actually not so good now because it's stuck. So maybe actually taking is helping black.
Yeah. Well, it is a stuck in here. I just see in the camera that we have the full view of the playing venue.
Yes.
There is a very nice suit. Is it
yes.
the?
Is it an Olympiad?
Olympiad. Look at that. It's like English Chess Federation. English, yeah.
Yes, ECF is English Chess Federation. This must be new then, because in 2022 they had blue suits with red. So this must be brand new for this year's. Sorry, for 2024's. Okay, so we've got a photographer.
Pretty nice. What is your take on dress code in the chess tournaments?
So I might have a bit of an unpopular opinion on dress codes. I think that for very high level professional events, for me it makes sense for there to be dress code. So like for the Chess World Championship, it makes sense for the players to be showing up in suits. This is a really big deal. At the same time, I was very unimpressed by the document FIDE produced showing the dress code. The document itself was very unprofessionally produced. It was not a very good example of graphic design, and kind of looked a bit like a kid had made it. So I think if FIDE is wanting people to take them seriously and wear professional clothing, they need to be able to produce the same professional atmosphere in their documents and in their requests. So I think for kind of open events like this, really, as you can see, people are dressed casually, and I think it doesn't matter at all. People should wear what they're comfortable in. I think it's also possible to look smart without wearing a suit, right? Like, especially for women, it's a lot easier. We don't have to wear a suit. We can wear like a nice dress, or we can wear something else. But yeah, I think if it's for the most important events of the year, it really does make sense to have a good image for it. What do you think?
Well, I am actually, I was bullied by, it's actually funny, I was bullied by some of the chess parents at the youth tournaments just because I was wearing different things every day.
Oh, wow.
Can you imagine, like, some parents can just like make some comments, something like, I could hear it, like, oh, she thinks she's on a fashion show or something like that. And it was quite frustrating back then, but that was fine because that was part of my preparation. It was like all planned and calculated. My outfits, even my outfits was calculating, not talking about my openings, but I didn't like that kind of approach. And I remember, like, for instance, someone could say, like, the head of delegation saying about a player who has the same T-shirt for 9 rounds, being a role model, being a person who like doesn't care about what she or he wears, but is fully focused on chess. But also she or he was stinky, like easy smell it. Like, and you don't like, as a kid, you don't have this kind of arguments, right? You don't like, you don't, or they are friends no matter what, and you don't want to have this kind of. So I had that kind of like, I had the opposite of what most of the people are going through. And me and my grandmother, who was like my biggest supporter, we had this tradition, especially when I was going to youth tournaments. We had this tradition to have one outfit for the closing ceremony. And every time I had an outfit for closing ceremony, I was always getting the medal. So, and it was like, it was supporting me, and it was like something very important for me. And also a lot of players are like suspicious, not so superstitious, and they can wear one thing for 9 rounds. I'm not joking about it. They are people like that. They're using the same T-shirts. We're not going in details what else they are doing. They are using the same pen or to write. And like when your brain is starting to go that direction, it's easy to get there. You are distracted. That's the distraction for me. So I never wanted to have a lucky shirt or lucky dress, because then I'm, and oh my God, I don't have my lucky dress with me, so I'm gonna lose it. And yeah, so because of that, I really like to dress nicely, because this is my work, right? So every day I get up and I get, like, people are getting in the offices, trying to do their best to be productive and to be nice, and also to respect the others. Like, you have to wear in a way to like to show the respect to others too, when you're going to the tournaments. And I don't know about this FIDE thing, because it was such a big deal. I have never seen the document actually, which is I don't know, weird.
I can send it to you after.
Yeah, please. Like I
or I can find it even for you now. I can send it to you.
I wanted to wear jeans because I love jeans actually. I'm wearing jeans right now too. Like even at home, I'm wearing jeans, like, because I really, really like it.
Yes, I'm wearing jeans as well right now.
Team jeans. And for me, it's very comfortable, especially in winter. Like it's cold.
Yes.
And then I've been told like I can't, and I was like, why? Because also people who are working there, they couldn't also wear jeans. So, oh boy, what is this? It's just a bunch of the photos just put in together, right?
Right, but it doesn't look so like it's the most professional document produced by the official federation, International Chess Federation. And actually, this is an updated one, I think. This one looks a bit better than the original one. It seems new. But it's still...
too much. It's confusing, I guess.
I've seen FIDE can produce, some good graphics for big events, and it just feels like this was thrown together as kind of a last thought. And I think at the same time, if you're not able to enforce this kind of dress code rule across the board, and it seemed like this was the main problem that people were unhappy about, was some people were being fined, some people were not being fined. And if there's not equality, then this becomes the real problem. And if you're not able to enforce this, then it's something that's going to have to be addressed after the tournament is over, where you produce, some kind of comprehensive guide for the tournament directors, for the organizers, and then it's for them to deal with for next time. But I think dealing with this on a case-by-case basis, whilst the tournament is going on, you're distracting players, there are people filing appeals, this then becomes a really big problem that is much bigger than the issue of someone wearing jeans.
I agree with that. It's quite distracting. Actually, one of the tournaments that was like the same tournament World Cup Team Leads, but in Riyadh, in Saudi Arabia, was one of the best dressed chess tournament I have ever seen. It was like, I don't know, everybody tried so hard to look so good. But it was impressive. I was commentating and we had access to many cameras, and we were like, we are beautiful people. Like, it was so cool. Like, everybody in suit, everybody in a nice outfit, and it looked super classy. It was like something very unique, and very beautiful to also to see from the viewer's perspective. It was like beautifully dressed. Another thing is, like you mentioned about like men and women, the dress things. Like for men, it's I think much easier to dress because you just put white shirt and the suit. Blue
That's
suit,
true.
black suit,
There's
any
less expectation to wear something
classical
different.
shoes. That's it. You're good.
Yeah.
And for women, it's a lot of like the color combination, the suits it's a different thing. So for me, the to look by the aesthetic, men tournament are much more aesthetic for me than the women's tournament, because like it's too many colors and I'm like so confused. And also like it's TV sensitive sometimes, like some colors, right? Overall, like my overall point is like a lot of people are saying that they want to feel comfortable in the outfit, and like the suits are not comfortable, but like it's not quite that there for me. Like the suits can be quite comfortable for me too.
Yes,
So
I think that if it fits right, it should be comfortable.
Yeah.
This is the thing,
Yeah.
is if you're and it goes the same for any clothes. Like if you're wearing jeans that are too tight, they're not going to be comfortable.
Yeah, exactly.
Like it's the same for anything, just has to fit you properly.
Yeah. But also
no,
it takes
I
the
totally agree.
individualism for the people. Like you want to dress some other way and you cannot. So it's good to have the combination of everything. Like to have the official events where you have to wear some dress code.
Yes.
And then you have open tournaments where you can just show your personality. That's also just fine.
Yes,
Yeah.
I absolutely agree. I think there's definitely time and place, and so for a tournament like the Isle of Wight, I think it's perfectly normal that we're seeing people in all sorts of different clothes. Especially these tournaments, there are lots of kids, and like you don't want to start getting into dress code issues with like children and stuff like this. We actually have a move, and we have E3, so we've decided not to take the rook on B4. So this is nice. After a little bit of deliberation, I guess, only 4 minutes, Sebastian didn't spend too long. I guess he decided that this rook's not going anywhere. There is no rush to take it. Like, if he wants, he can take it in a bit. So, no rush. I think maybe let's hop over to board 1. We haven't looked for a while at Bobby and Jovanka. So, yes, Jovanka's still wearing her big coat. She's chilly. And she's having a think. So Queen B6, Rook B1 is played, and this seemed to be the best continuation. And now A5. So preventing any ideas of B4, I suppose.
A4, I think, yeah. Like mine just want to play A4 next move to get this space advantage. So no knight B3 or queen B3 in the future.
Yes.
And with this pawn structure that white has, B2, C3, D4 chain, just imagine A4, A3 at some point will be a very good start to just break
undermine.
Yes, not necessarily right now, because obviously the queen is on B6 and rook on B1. We don't do that. But after some moves, it is always a good idea to have the space advantage on any side. So I like it.
Yes, and to attack the pawn chain from its base, of course, this makes a lot of sense. And it seems, of course, that black is in no rush to castle, and it makes sense because of this semi-open H-file, as we said earlier. We are seeing quite a few games with black kings staying in the middle.
And you can, sorry to disrupt, but like you can also do bishop E7 and king F8, king G8 to let the rook be on the child.
Yes.
And it's not very dynamic position anyway. There will be no tactics or whatever, so you have enough time to move around.
Yes, and so we have queen to E2, and now, I mean, it would make a lot of sense for this bishop to come to G7. We have played G6, so this is a natural developing move. And I guess my concern is for this light squared bishop on c8 seems to be a bit of a problem piece for black. And I guess the only way is it's going to come through d7 and at some point maybe I guess I've lost the cameras. I don't know if you have lost them. I guess this is another idea behind queen to e2 is we are having very good control over b4, b5, sorry, and c4.
Here, what you should not do with black here is move c4.
Yes.
Yeah, you should not do that because this allows white to stabilize the center. And then whatever you do, my next move is b4 here. It's probably a different move. I'm going to create a weakness on d5. I'm going to open
with
up
this king in the center.
It's going to be a big issue here. And we don't gonna go e5 or anything. We are going to take the pawn on d5.
Yes.
And we're going to, like, it might looks very like ridiculous at this point, but this d5 very often is a weakness. Something like knight f1, knight e3, going after this d5 pawn, or knight e5, queen f3 can be the issue. So black should not open up the center, and black should not close the queen side with c4. That's going to be like strategically very, very bad choice.
Yes, so I think this is a mistake that you sometimes see lower level players. If they can push a pawn to attack a piece, they will do it, and then they realize, oh no, I can't bring my pawn back. But totally, and this makes it a lot easier for white because you're also not really going with your other plan there of a5, a4. They are not very complementary, allowing white to play in the center. So this is a very, very nice idea. At some point, I guess we will want to play e4 anyway, regardless of this c4 push. So this is another reason that it's very nice to have the queen here on the e-file.
I agree with that. And it can be some like possibilities that white can just play e4, giving up the d4 pawn anyway, but to open up the e-file. So that can be the direct threat of white right now. Bishop g7 has been played.
Yes, bishop g7's played. We had a question from the YouTube chat saying, how do we know when the players move? So we do have the live boards, DGT boards are all on chess.com. So they tell us. We also do have the cameras are working again, so we can transition over. So we can see the players, we can see when they make the moves, and then we're getting them on DGT. So as long as there are no DGT errors, we get the moves very, very quickly through to the live boards. And you can access all of these boards on chess.com/events. If you type in Isle of Wight, it will come up with all of the boards for the Masters, under 2000, every event, it's all on there. So if you have somebody you're rooting for in this tournament, you can go and take a look at their board anytime.
Yeah, these days is not a big of issue because digital boards are basically one of the innovations of the technology. But like, I remember when I started to play chess, we were having the arbiters, or like they were hiring some people, usually students, who were like responsible to register the games. Like they were like after each round.
To manually take the score sheet and then add it to the database. Yes.
Yes. So many of these games were just lost because they couldn't understand the handwriting of the players, and they were just stopping there. And that was one of the toughest work you can imagine. Just go through like, I don't know, hundreds of games after each round for the arbiters. I have some arbiters who have a lot of stories about that. But it was also like the source of income at that time.
This is actually still happening. So at some tournaments, I have a good friend who is an arbiter. At the Reykjavik Open, which is obviously very prestigious open tournament, they're still inputting all of the games from every board. So even the bottom boards where you don't have DGT, you're still getting all of those PGNs put in, which actually is really, really nice. And it's a privilege to have as a player who is playing an open tournament, because it's very rare at an open tournament that you're just going to get a DGT board, especially at a big tournament where there's 300 plus players. So having access to your opponent's previous games from that tournament is a really, really big plus, because then you know what openings they're playing. Sometimes you'll play against a player and you'll check in the database and you'll see they don't have games since like 2000 or 2005 or something. And so if you get access to their games from the current tournament, it's very, very nice. But it's exactly this problem that you mentioned of handwriting and notating, especially for maybe players who are less experienced and they're not so used to notating. And you're seeing a lot of errors in the notation, which, we're not really supposed to allow it if people are missing moves or not notating correctly. But it's very, very difficult to verify this as the game is going on. Yes.
Yeah. Well, the thing is that I started at very early age to notate my moves in English, even though my native language is Georgian, and like I'm more comfortable to even do like it's extra something that you are like during the game. You're putting some extra energy to write down the moves in different language, especially when you're like 9 years old, 10 years old, child. But I was always doing that. So, and it was kind of habit also. I just did it in Georgian tournaments too, just to show a little bit more respect to the people who are doing that. And like, just imagine you're playing the tournament abroad and you're writing down in Georgian the moves. They have like basically no idea what to do. And also that's the way that you can also keep your games in database for a longer time. And but my handwriting it's very bad. It's really, really bad, especially in time pressure. You can see it when the time pressure started for me on my score sheet.
Me too. My notation always starts out very tidy. And then as soon as I'm starting to get a little bit stressed or I'm starting to lose time a bit, then it goes. And just you can hardly even see what I'm saying. So we have a couple of moves made very quickly here. So we have D takes C5, queen takes, and then hitting in the center with E4, like you said. So this is a very nice way for white to play actively in the center. And especially when the black king, I mean, both kings are in the center, but we obviously have threats of taking on D5.
Yeah, well, nice. Black is waiting white to castle. This is the waiting game here. If white is not castling, it's not so safe to castle on the king side because rook on h1 will start to be really annoying. So if white castles here, next move, black will castle as well. And why the king is still in the center.
Have you had a game like this where you're kind of waiting to see if your opponent's, like, because I'm playing e4, there is this very aggressive variation of the Philidor called the Black Lion that Simon Williams, Ginger GM, made popular on Chessable. So it's like Philidor, except you're playing h6, g5 very early on and not castling. So you wait for white to castle. And because I am not such an experienced player, I'm just like, okay, black will castle next turn. I castle my king as white, and black has absolutely no intentions of doing anything other than attacking me on the king side now. So yes, I've definitely had games where maybe I've regretted castling a little bit too early.
Yes. I also like to castle at the very beginning, but
yes, of course.
In my practice, that it's better to wait for a bit sometimes in some openings to castle afterwards.
Yes, especially if you know you're playing against an aggressive player.
Yeah. I'm just thinking here what happens if black takes the pawn on e4, how white will capture it back, probably with the knight to attack the queen.
Yes, this looks very nice.
And I don't know, like after queen to e7, let's say, to get this knight on d6 nicely. I was just thinking maybe something like d1, bishop b5, knight d6 kind of ideas. And if you castle now, then I'm going to have a really, really, really nice idea of g4, g5 to just blockade that dark squares on the king side.
And to try, this is really, really nice. And this knight is super strong on e4. Like we're controlling all of these dark squares in the center. And black calls white's bluff and just castles. So he says, you know, I'm not afraid of you. I'm not afraid of your rook. Just going to castle. And I mean, it does make sense to me here because we don't really have an easy way to attack these pawns. We don't have an H pawn to create weaknesses here. And pushing f4, f5 is not really possible with our king here anyway. So
yeah, we can say the line to provocate this pawn with knight g5, attacking the pawn with e7.
Yes, for sure.
And after h6 to get knight on h3.
To go for more of an attack.
Yeah, it takes, I think, a lot of time. There's also a very nice idea. Instead of this, like it doesn't give us much, so white should not go for that. Another idea is to play knight h2, knight g4 to go knight h6. But again, like you can do that, but then what? Like you get snuck here, but then what? I play king h8. That's it. So that is the reason why black actually castled. He says, like, I'm not really afraid of your ideas.
Yes, there's not a follow-up here. I guess if you had another attacker or something that you were able to target f7 better or more rooks on the h file, this kind of thing, but we're just not set up for it right now. So I guess maybe we will see castles or
yeah, I like castle here.
Yeah,
it looks fine. Looks really fine with some kind of ideas of knight b3, knight d4 later on. Maybe you can also take on d5. So it is equal position. I like it from both sides actually. Black also has not much of the deal.
Yes, and now if white ever takes here, then black is quite happy because their bishop is improved. If now that the king is out of the center, we can put a rook on e8 as well. So.
Exactly.
So this is quite nice now.
We do have a lot of updates on the board 3 and also board 5 at Alexandra's game. I think she might just end this game very quickly.
Alexandra is ending quickly. Let's go here first then. So we were up to knight g6 and queen g3. Bishop to c5, developing the dark squared bishop. h4, yes, this is what we were saying, is you're always just considering going for h4. And I think it was quite clear from the beginning of this game that Alexandra was deciding she wanted to have an attacking game. She had the white pieces, she's playing against Kreken, like she wants to attack the king side. So f5 seems to weaken things. I do get it, but I'm not so sure. And now knight f8 is played. Okay, and I guess queen c7, there was some utility in it because we're guarding g7 now. So it did do something. We're not able to capture. We've got a3, just stopping any pieces from improving. And g6. Okay. This king is looking a little bit breezy, though.
It does. I'm thinking maybe something like bishop h6 with the idea to play, bishop f6 and bishop f8 and take on g6, obviously, to get the pawn.
Right.
I just wonder how black is going to avoid that threat. And if you play queen to f7, then you will have. Sorry, yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
So I guess the way is that you can capture first, but I would feel a little bit afraid to capture here as black because you're directly opening things up, and it doesn't seem very natural.
Yeah, I
So,
think 92, 94 will just get this pawn back. And imagine 92, 94, knight h5, and knight f6 comes on the way, and you can't really stop that happening.
this is all of a sudden very uncomfortable position to have as black. So if not captures, then maybe we're given knight d4 as the second candidate move by the engine. I think your idea of knight e2 seems to still be working very well.
What about knight h4? Is it a possibility?
Yes. Knight h4.
Oh. Gives black some chances after rook to g8.
Rook g8. Rook g8 does make sense to me, like if you're wanting to prevent the queen from infiltrating. Of course, it stops you from taking because the rook is not defended. But I guess if you are allowing these pawns to come, the queen is very quickly running out of squares. With the knight also covering and the bishop potentially covering here.
Do you know what we can also do instead of knight h4? Like we can play rook to d1. Or take and then rook to d1. The point being that if you make rook g8 now, like take, then rook d1, if you play rook to g8 move, can we play bishop to b5 check?
Yes.
And knight b5 or rook to d4 now? I look at this position, just black collapsing.
Yes, this is very nice. We have knight b5 coming. This is very, very nice. And now all of a sudden, rook g8 feels very slow. Feels like it didn't do enough. I guess rook g8 was making more sense when g5 was coming with a tempo on the knight on h4.
Yeah.
So
we have some raid on my channel. Thank you guys for joining us.
Hello, raiders.
Raiders.
For anyone who has just joined, we're covering the Isle of Wight Masters, an international chess tournament in the UK, in the Isle of Wight. We're on round 3, so we're still quite early on into the tournament, and we've got some very, very exciting games. If this happened, this would be like our second very active rook of the day, you know, coming in and
active rook day.
Yeah.
Active rook day.
Yes. But yes, this would give a very nice advantage for White. And I think that this is the kind of position that Alexandra would feel very happy with. I think that she must be very happy here.
Yeah, I agree with that. It's quite a pleasant position to have. And obviously bishop h6 is not the only move you can play. You can play knight e2, knight f4 right away and go after this g6 pawn. But always good to bring more pieces into the game. There's also the idea to play bishop g5 and bishop f6, for instance.
Yes.
To annoy the rook. You can play also rook to d1 like a normal moves. Yeah, very nice position.
Yeah. I have a crazy fun move from the engine. Bishop takes f5. Of course, you cannot take this way because of the rook. I think more interesting is e takes, and then you have very scary position here for the black king. This is like one of those positions you would see in The Art of the Attack. You know this, of course.
Yeah, it's one of my favorite books. I like it.
This feels exactly like one of those opening the center positions.
E6 probably now, and knight c7.
Yes, that's
actually really a very nice book. The Art of Attack 2 actually like to get used to some of the ideas and to get the skills of noticing where is the moments to attack and sacrifice. I love that book actually.
Yeah, I need to actually finish it, but it's definitely the first book that was recommended to me when I started to tell people that I was struggling with attacking. They were like, "You're out of the attack. This is the first stop." Yeah,
I'll do the same. I like that.
Okay, let's take a look maybe at Sebastian Bogner on board too, because it seems we've got some moves not being enjoyed by the engine. So this is quite fun. Nice to see how humans are playing chess. So after e3, rook a6, and keeping an eye on this weakness here of d6 and queen c2, and then h5, which the computer is really not liking at all. But it's not super obvious as to why, especially when the follow-ups produced by the engine are like rook c1. I guess we're just playing on the queen side now. Maybe just we're saying that this move is not super useful. It's not doing a lot.
It's kind of waiting move that can be useful in the end.
Yes.
Yeah, I don't think it's a bad move. Actually, it's a fine move.
Yeah, no, it's not a blunder or anything like this. And then just h4, stopping any more pushes from coming. But now we have given up control over g4. So if black wants, they can put a piece there sometime. And I guess this is kind of a tricky position because you don't know maybe how to proceed. I think, of course, it's nice that we don't have to take this rook, but black is probably not super happy having this rook here. It's no longer a very, very useful attacker with the knight stopping it from gaining any mobility.
Yeah, the thing is that I think now black has a bishop f5 move and tries to provocate white to play e4. This is a quite natural reaction to attack the bishop, and now we can just get this bishop back on d7, or to play knight to d4 right away.
Yes.
And go after
causing problems.
Exactly, and after queen d1, you can actually play bishop g4 and provocate white even farther to close this bishop on light squares and play f3, f3.
Yes,
on the other hand, we can see other pawn on g3 and the dark squares too. And now you can just peacefully play bishop d7. White is struggling to guard the pawn on b3. And even after rook a3 move, you are not completely guarding this pawn. You can have knight b3 or bishop b5 right away, or queen to b8, something like that, to go after b3 pawn. So slowly, these things can go wrong here for white.
Yes. Yeah, this all of a sudden feels much worse. We have a very unhappy bishop. And I guess maybe you're forced to take the exchange at that point. Otherwise, you're just losing directly and giving black 2 passed pawns immediately. So if we are taking here, then I suppose this at least alleviates any pressure on the b file. So it's harder at least to attack the b3 pawn for the time being. But yeah, all of a sudden, this is not feeling so great with the light squared bishop.
Yeah, black has very active pieces, and white has not too much in this position. The bishop on g2, rook on a2, like not really understand what's happening there.
But so, you know what? You know what, Ghasi? We're seeing kind of the same thing happen as yesterday, where black is getting a very nice position, but they're not doing so well on the clock. And I think that Sebastian knows that he can bide his time and be patient, and that his opponent is going to start to make errors, maybe in time trouble.
Yeah, just waiting for the opponent, as it happened yesterday too. But he was very lucky. We have to be honest. He was very lucky.
He was.
yesterday.
Yes, he was. And I'm
just
sure he
one
knows
game.
that. I'm sure he's well aware that he was lucky at the end of yesterday's game.
Yeah.
And
You need to be a lucky to win the tournament.
yes.
But the luck is not coming every day. Obviously, it's not everyday thing. Yeah, black
But
has
I
to
think
make
luck
their
is a much bigger part of chess than we give it credit for, though. Like if you're getting good pairings, like there are many people of the same rating, and who you get paired against can change a lot. Like playing a 2000 rated player who's 50 and playing a 2000 rated player who's 9, or they're very different experiences.
Yeah.
And
The thing is, like, when I was a child, there was a lot of kids saying about other kids. Myself too, I consider some of the players lucky, and probably they considered me to be lucky too. And we had a big argument. It was a camp, chess camp with a lot of kids. Under 10 to under 18, and you can imagine what's happening there. So a lot of you're lucky. It was insulting. It was really insulting. Like, if someone was telling me that I was lucky, that was like, you play bad but you're lucky. It was very insulting. Like,
yes, it is, of course.
So we were there, these kids. Like, it was one of the best things about chess tournaments that we had camps before going to the chess tournaments. And without parents, without coach, we had only like 1 or 2 coaches. And basically we had this daily routine to work out, to train, to have breakfast together, dinner together, then some TV time together. It was like one of the best times. But then we had a lot of arguments, right? The lucky who's more lucky. And once our coach was really tired of it, and he sat down with us, and he started to tell us that to be lucky is a good thing in chess, and only the people who are working hard and who are trying hard are the lucky ones. And then after this talk, like, no one mentioned anymore. No one used this as insults, and we just changed our mind, and it was totally like game changer for us. That you have to take it when you're lucky in your game. You have to take it as one of the biggest compliments in your life, and just appreciate it. So
yes, I think this is a really good point. Is also, I think chess in what we were saying yesterday about ratings and not focusing on ratings is the more tournaments you play, the less these things matter. Like the less the luck will matter is if you're playing a lot of tournaments. Yeah, some tournaments where you get great pairings, some tournaments where you not get so great pairings, things like this. And if you're only playing 2 tournaments a year, then it's very easy to get two unlucky tournaments. But if you're playing, every month or every 2 weeks, it's really, you're just gonna get a mixed bag. My cat is sitting right behind me on my chair, and she's trying to push me off it, like on the seat. I'm gonna have to look her.
Yeah, hello.
She's been sleeping behind me, but it's getting to the point where she's just trying to kick me off the chair.
This is the same one, right, as yesterday?
Yes, yeah.
I forgot the name. What's the fancy name?
It's Mirabelle.
Mirabelle, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's a type of plum, actually. It's a fruit.
I
like when pets have food names, but my boyfriend didn't want her to have a silly name like cheddar or soup or something silly.
That makes me so hungry right now.
And we have a question in the chat. Why do the players have such serious faces? Because they're thinking, and because they're not thinking about what their faces look like. If you're mid chess game and you're busy thinking about what your face is looking like, then you're focusing on the wrong thing. And this is what I was saying yesterday, actually, is I always make the worst faces when I'm playing chess. I always make the grumpiest faces because it's just not a concern at the time. You have such bigger issues to deal with.
I wanted to, there were some times when I wanted to post my photos from the chess tournament, and all of them are like,
Yes.
And I was posting anyway. And then I was seeing the other posts of, like, for instance, Boris sisters, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I was seeing also the photos of Dina Pelinka,
Mm-hmm.
and I was like also Nemo, and I was like Anna, and I was like, damn, how is it possible?
I know what
I
you
don't
mean.
know. I don't know. And like, I don't even know when I'm getting so focused on the game. I
Mm-hmm.
barely see what's happening around. I don't see the
Mm-hmm.
photographers are making. Like at the
Mm-hmm.
beginning, it's a bit difficult to focus, but like
Right.
after some moves, I'm just forgetting what is happening. And there were some cases when I was so deep in the game, then I looked around. I was like, where is everybody? Because like most of the players just left the venue. And yeah, I was just thinking how to get one proper photo from the chess, like at least
Mm-hmm.
one proper photo at the chess tournament when I look normal, not so tragic. And I don't know what's the secret of it. Yeah.
We have e4 played, just as you had suggested,
Mhm.
just as you said. And now
Not a good
there's
move, though.
this knight to d4. So I was actually curious about this move, bishop to e4, that the engine suggested and said. And so you don't compromise on giving up the d4 square, which it's very interesting, actually. And I was curious about, I didn't really understand the follow-up, but then I was looking and I thought that if you end up taking, then this is a problem. This becomes a big problem. So you
Mhm.
can't, yeah, so you have to deal with this first. And then all of a sudden, black is having some extremely active rooks, and they have really got a very nice position there. But anyway, definitely much more natural move, I think, e4. You're solidifying your d5 pawn. You're not moving your bishop out of its little safe house on g2. And now we can expect black to probably play knight to d4. And he
goes for
plays it
that.
very quickly for a 3-minute think, and he's gone for knight d4. So this makes sense. And I'm sure that we have, yes, another quick move, queen to d1. So maybe we will see your exact line play out here, Ghasi, with bishop
You
to
cannot say
g4.
that. Bishop g4 is a natural move. Only
Yes.
thing that Daniel has to do is he has to play faster because it's getting
Yes.
down to 20
Yes.
minutes, and the time difference is quite big now. Especially we have seen Sebastian outplay his opponent in time pressure. This is exactly what
Yes.
he's doing now. He hasn't even spent a second to play queen to
Yes.
d1. So, and he's like, it's not something that he's not thinking. He's thinking, look at this. He's thinking his time, his opponent's time, and this is one of the best things that you can
Yes.
do. A lot of top players are doing this. Grandmasters are doing this. You don't see them walking, or even if they're walking, they're thinking about that.
Right.
And this is the way how you're blitzing out. Do we have bishop g4? I think black just went bishop to c8 right away.
Oh, yes. Right away.
I don't trust this move. I don't. What are you eating?
It's banana bread.
Oh, okay. I have also my cake over here. I bought it yesterday. I ate yesterday one, and I have for this break this one. I'm going to show you how good it looks.
What kind of cake is it?
There we go. Like the creamy one.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Wow. I'm very upset to see bishop to c8 because your line was so beautiful, and it creates actually so many problems for white, because really f3 is the only move. Otherwise there are so many threats with the knight on e2 or the bishop on e2, and would have been really nice to see this.
Otherwise you're losing the pawn on b3 basically. Like you have to attack the bishop.
Yes.
Otherwise, if you want the queen, you lose the pawn on b3.
Yeah, this would have been very nice, but I guess Daniel Fischer also became very aware of his time situation and doesn't want to waste time. And yes, and chat is correct that now if bishop takes, you are able to play a takes if you prefer. So this is the difference.
That's his process of thinking to guard the rook on a6. Yeah.
Exactly, and now you have very solid pawns here from D to B. So this is the difference.
But on the other hand, if you do so, then you don't have this breakthrough of the pawns on the queen side. You can push c4, and in the other pawn structure, you always have this extra thing to play e4, especially in the later end game. So that's the reason that perhaps black should still consider to take with the c pawn.
Yes, that's true, and you can make a passed pawn more easily here. I guess now if you play a takes, the only way to get this passed pawn is giving the bishop for the knight, and you might not want to do that.
Yeah.
So let's say some random move is played, bishop takes c4, and now you create a passed pawn, which is definitely a very real threat that you have to think about. And it could be very annoying to deal with, honestly. Especially because this light squared bishop is not so good. I guess this is one option for the endgame as well. Things to calculate. And of course, it's much easier for us because we can put them up on the board. So for those of you watching, if you're not tournament players, if you've never played a chess tournament, then it's much harder than we're making it look. We have the engine, but also we have the ability to put any position we like on the board, and these players are having to think about this all in their heads, and it's very specific skill to have to be able to calculate and visualize in your head. And it's very tricky to calculate multiple lines, long lines, getting everything in the right place. And miscalculation errors happen a lot, actually, where you didn't see something, and can be very decisive. So let's maybe take a look.
We have to go on the board 1 because we have such dramatic changes there.
Yes, we do. Right. So we have a castles from black and no castles from white. So instead we have knight b3 with a tempo on the queen. Queen to b6, and e takes d5, e takes d5. So this is nice little detail that by playing knight b3 first, you don't ever allow the queen to take back on d5 because you chase her away first. So now we have queen to e3. So yes.
That's a bit weird decision for me. Was it the only move to play there? Like she could also castle.
Yes, it's a strange move, queen to e3, because you're also damaging your pawn structure a lot. Like this is very bad doubled isolated G pawns.
On top of that, e3 pawn is also a weakness.
Yes.
Next move, it will be possible, and you can play moves like h5 to blockade the on g3 and to play bishop h6. With the h5, you are just covering the h6 square, and you can get the bishop there.
Yes.
I'm surprised actually by this decision.
Yes, and it is played, and this is the actual position we have on the board now. So this now definitely looks much trickier to play for white, and I always hate having bad pawn structure. It's something that I try to avoid a lot. Like I probably compromise too much on things like piece activity to try to preserve my pawn structure, because I hate to play these endgames where I have very weak pawns.
Because you can never you can never change the structure that easily, and while you have passive piece, you can always just find a better square. So
exactly,
it's more permanent weakness.
So we
with the
have some
pawns.
moves. We have a4 and knight to d4. So these are played quickly, of course. The a3 now. So this is an idea that you had said earlier, and this is really damaging, trying to damage the pawn structure even more. So maybe
imagine after b takes e3.
No,
We have
no,
so ugly pawn structure.
No,
Two
no
double
way.
pawns, and
I would be
one of
so
them
unhappy. I would be miserable because now also you've got multiple pawns hanging. This would be horrible. Of course, here Jovanka will not take. I think I would be inclined to play b3 or Engine is preferring b4, but I guess I'm worried about c4, losing control over c4.
Yeah.
Yes, it's fighting more for space.
Yeah, knight b3, knight c5 sort of things, but
Yes.
it's not really working right now. The pawn is hanging. And it's more, it's more active. Yeah, maybe that's why it's the best one, because you have
Yes,
this
it's
option.
very active.
Another thing.
And she has played it. She has played it.
Really?
Yes.
Before?
Yes.
Nice. You want to play rook b4, rook b3, and knight c2. b3
so
now,
rook
and
b3.
knight c2 or knight b5. And
this is a very nice idea. So let's say, okay, let's say after something developing, then this idea.
Yeah.
This is really
knight b5,
nice.
knight c2. And from b3 actually also guards the pawn on c3. So that's pretty nice. Maybe knight b5 was an option to also hit the
knight b5. So Engine is liking knight e5.
Yeah, because like basically he doesn't really care about the pawn on a3. We care about that. Like I care about
Yeah,
the
we
pawn
care
on
about
a3.
it.
We care about it.
Yeah.
Yeah, before has been played. That's pretty nice move. Actually, I like this move way more than b3 now after seeing this idea.
Yes, I'm really just upset about the pawn structure because this is not a fun structure to play with. Like no chess player is going into this pawn structure happily. And so I guess there must have been something here where with queen e3 that Jovanka calculated and something she really didn't like. She must have seen some tricky idea for black.
Yeah, I agree with that. She disliked didn't like something about castle, perhaps bishop to g4, rook 8, and stuff like that. And she just decided to go to end game. It's a weak pawn structure, but like she's not really losing any of the pawns.
No, she can definitely play like king f2, and she can bring her rooks and that's not so bad. Slight edge for black, of course, because of the structure and bishop pair, I suppose. Let's take a quick look at I guess actually quite a few moves have been played on board too, but maybe we hop back to Alexandra Prado first, because it was quite an exciting position that we had with g6 and an attack on the black king. So this was a position we said we thought that Alex would be very happy with, and here she played b4. So she is pushing back and controlling black's pieces even more. But okay, black tries to play active chess and gives up the bishop pair. And now bishop to b2, threatening some discovery. Knight back. And b5. This is fun. So I think she definitely will play this knight e2, knight f4 idea because it makes a lot of sense to have the bishop on b2 and then to reroute our knight over here. But she is just attacking on the queen side first, trying to control the pieces. I think that maybe I'm a bit concerned now that this knight will get some activity on c4. After b5,
b5, yeah.
yes,
Yeah.
and knight a5. So this is maybe the only.
What White can try to do here is this sacrifice that you showed earlier, which is connected with bishop f5 and knight d5. It's not really working right now, but you can play something like rook to a to d1 to build up pressure in the center. And to look for some type of sacrifices, then looks quite nice to me. Rook d1.
Yes, and I guess maybe you can't go for this because this is just too risky to open up the rook now.
Yeah, and you have to take. Oh yeah, this is not so good.
This is not.
Sure, yeah.
And
maybe
then,
with the queen.
Queen, we now have this sacrifice being presented to us. Beautiful. Another, basically the same idea as bishop f5, is just opening up. And I guess we would have tempo on the rook if we were able to play e6.
Beautiful. E6 and then e7 comes on the way. That's a really, really beautiful one.
Wow. I really hope we see a fun piece sacrifice in this game. I'd love to see this from Alexandra. That would be super exciting. And these are kind of the most fun games, I think, to win when you do a sacrifice and you win, but then afterwards you find out that your sacrifice really was the best move, you know, and it was actually like, wow, I played like really a perfect attack. Yeah.
Absolutely, I agree with that. Shall we go to the board 3? We do have some of the interesting changes there. And also the isolated pawn, which turned into the hanging pawns. So
yes.
Quite dramatic. Last move we saw was bishop to f3. This move 12.
Yes. So yeah, we talked a little bit about this bishop takes f3 move, and then White spent 12 minutes deciding to take back with the e pawn. So this is not really something that we looked at. But we did look at this d4 follow-up, which is played regardless of whichever piece you take back with. Now bishop to g5, h6, and we are taking the knight. So now we have bishop and a knight opposite bishops each, and f4. So we're reopening our bishop, bringing it back to life. Bishop back to e7, and now bishop takes pawn. Sorry, bishop takes knight and then pawn takes. I'm not sure.
You're not sure about
I'm not sure about this because when I have this bishop, I feel like it's my, like it's very close to my heart. It's my favorite piece or my favorite minor piece. And I mean, he's a grandmaster, so I don't want to question his choices too much, but I don't understand it.
Don't get attached with the pieces. Otherwise, you will have difficult time to you know feel that.
Yeah.
But
yeah, really, I think you agree that it's a bit strange, right?
It is. Yeah. Probably I'll not also give it myself too because I like also this. Like it still doesn't work, but here White's thinking process is to eliminate all the possible active pieces of the board and to leave a very bad bishop, which is already blockaded by d4 pawn, against the knight. And the knight is way much stronger now than the bishop, and you have a hanging pawns too. So you're not like, it didn't really damage your position, but you're taking your opponent to the situation where he doesn't have much of the counterplay. So after this b3 move, now White will go with rook to c1, rook to c5, for instance, rook to c1, another rook. And we'll do like just a slow game, slow game, something like, I don't know. Oh man, the bishop is missing. Bishop is missing. You couldn't do much actually because of the back rank issue. Like for
Yes,
instance,
exactly.
take and c5
Yes.
will be a checkmate. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Interesting. Can we see again rook 2? And he thought so much for
So
this.
he decided to play this after 15 minutes. So he did spend quite a while deciding to go for this endgame. And I do get it, like going for the superior minor piece. And this is a theme that we saw yesterday as well. It's a way that grandmasters are choosing to win these games against lower rated players, is they just are making sure they have the better pieces. And
simplifying and everything. Yeah.
Yes.
I thought he would go queen to f3 now, because like to kind of replace the bishop on this diagonal.
And yes. And now you can't really go for this because you get the world's worst pawns ever. So this is not so possible. Actually, this is a very nice move. I think this makes a lot of sense. Makes a lot of sense to me. But queen to d3, I guess you're still having a lot of control over all of these light squares anyway. So maybe you're still trying not to feel the loss of the bishop so much. So this is what we have now. We have up to rook f e8. And yes, probably just something like rook c1, developing this rook.
Yeah, white maybe needs to regroup the pieces and get knight b2.
Yes,
and
knight b2,
perhaps the best is to get this knight on d3, because queen is not the best piece
to blockade. Yes.
Yeah, so knight will be just greatest piece there.
To control also c5 from anything happening.
Yeah, but I really love the way how the queen is on d5, just like bothering so much on the light squares. Rook c1 happens.
Yes, rook c1 is played. So actually, a long time ago in the chat, Lawrence Cooper was telling us that Ameet Ghasi got his Grandmaster title just last year at the age of 37. So it's not too late to become Grandmaster.
Oh, wow. That is really, really, really impressive. 37. Wow. Yeah, he's 38 years old now.
And so how long was he chasing Grandmaster from International Master?
Oh,
sorry, I just, because you have his page, so
yeah. No worries. So he became 10 years.
Wow. But perseverance and hard work paid off for him, clearly, because now he's Grandmaster.
Yeah. But like, we don't really know the story how he started to play. Maybe he started late, because he became FIDE Master in 2011, and then he became International Master in 2012. That was good progress, 1 year only.
Yes.
And then it was 10 years. But like, you never know, some players are just quitting chess, and they're coming back. And when I quit chess, I was 17 years old, like 17, 18 years old. And I had quite a nice rating and a title, but like, then to get my first IM norm after that, it was after like 6 years or something. So like, you don't really know the background of the players and the reasoning of it. But like, this is one of the examples that if you have the goal, you can achieve it, no matter when. It's most important is to have and to keep it going. But it's pretty impressive.
We have rook a d8 on the board, and everything I look at, everything I want to play, I'm just not able to really have active pieces, because I would love for us not to have these back rank issues, but the queen is so strong. here on d5. And I would have loved to have been able to like chase her away somewhere with something like rook c5, chase her away and pick up some pawns, but we just end up getting checkmated, even with trades. Yeah.
That actually makes me feel maybe rook to d1, rook e to d1,
and
then rook c5. Yeah.
Yes, and
just
then no trades. Right. And then if some random move, then like maybe we can play for rooks to c5. Yeah.
Yeah, White definitely needs to regroup the pieces and get the queen on f3 to hit the pawn on c6. And this knight on a4 is not doing much, so knight on d3 would be just perfect square for this knight.
Yes, I think that I mean, black is probably very, very happy to trade one set of rooks anyway. So it's gonna be quite slow, I think, for white to improve their position. But I mean, you're not really in any danger as long as you're not making some silly moves with your rooks. So like even though this queen is very powerful, you're not actually in danger. I guess like something like queen to h5 would be a bit annoying. But then maybe you can play for king g2. And actually, I don't know, how would you feel, okay, about like and then queen d5, and would you trade the queens here? Like, is this something you would go for?
I think yes. If he captures, I would be happy.
Right.
The problem is that we can force black to capture the queen. But like if he takes queen f3, king f3, our king is beautifully placed in the center. The pawn on c6 is hanging, and we have all the time to play knight c5 and knight d3 or knight e4. But I think the problem with this queen f3 is that he's not really in rush to take it. Like I can play d3, d2, I can play rook e2. Also, it's quite naughty move.
Yes, because it cannot obviously be captured because of this pin. So actually, this is kind of stylish move to play that is fun to play.
Yeah, and if you take the pawn on c6, I can take the pawn on a2 as well. So,
yes, and then all of a sudden b3 is weak and your knight is not happy. Yes, so obviously you cannot force this trade, unfortunately. But I would feel much better about having my king here on g2 and defending from this. But you can see I'm too defensive. I'm trying to just deal with the threats and I'm not getting active pieces. But yeah, after thinking for a while, actually, the engine is very much on board with rook e to d1. So it took some time, but yeah.
Yeah, it's a nice way to avoid trading of the pieces. And let's black control the first rank. Like he still controls c file, and we have seen this rook e2 really nasty move, but we're keeping the eye on d4 pawn as well. There's a question in the chat. Why do these people walking around the tables and watch? Why not?
Do you do this a lot, Ghasi, when you're playing tournament?
No, I don't care about other games, which is like so weird. I never cared about other games too. And I was always finding it surprised when like some people were watching my games more than they were watching their own games. It's just like I like to walk. I like to walk during the game. I do love to walk. Sometimes I walk so much that I'm getting tired physically. But my brain is mostly just focused on my own game, and I can't really like. I'm not very much interested into other games, which is not so good because like it's always good to look at the other games too and get some ideas from them. So it's not so bad to time just go and see how others are doing, because there can be so many interesting situations, and obviously you can learn so much out of it. And sometimes also good to relax a little bit and like switch your focus off your own game and just see other things too. This is going to help you to release your stress a little bit, focus on other things, and then come back to your own game from different perspective. So yeah, that's okay, I guess, to watch.
Yes, and I find that in the games where I'm the most focused, actually, I'm hardly getting up from my chair. But sometimes when I'm a little bit distracted or something, I'm standing up a lot, I'm walking around a lot. But I'm not one of these people who can see the board in my head. I can't analyze it in my head. So if I'm standing up and walking around, I'm not thinking about the board. So it's not very useful for me to walk around and think about the position. Sometimes actually I've gotten up to walk around, and then all of a sudden I get this horrible sense of dread that I just blundered on my last move and left something hanging, and then I do. I go back to check and I'm like, oh my gosh, it's okay. I didn't hang a piece. Like nothing horrible happened whilst I was gone. So
no. Like in my case, how it works, and I know a lot of people have the same. Like when I'm sitting down on the chessboard, I'm limiting myself so much to see only the same line all the time. I'm not getting new inspiration, new ideas. When I'm walking, I don't see the pieces. I'm just constructing some ideas in my head, and very often the good ideas come to my head when I'm walking and I'm not seeing the chessboard. So
that's very interesting. Maybe this is a new way that I need to think about it.
Yeah, like the way I'm limiting so much myself when I see the board.
Yes.
Of course, like I need to have a lot of time. I cannot do it in a time pressure. But if I do that, and also when you're doing also physical activity, like when you're walking, somehow I love that. I just it just works in like if I sit down now on my sofa and I want to think about some ideas that I have, like something to do or something to record, it will be less productive for me rather than to walk in the park. And I just walk so much every day, and my brain is just a turbo, like just thinking about everything. And this happens at the same time as like I also walk really fast, and it's the best combination for me. It looks so weird, but like I have 10 times, like so many ideas. The moment I'm coming back, I'm just getting like my computer starting and doing the things. Rather than to be at home and just sitting on the sofa, I will not do that. I'm getting like super lazy and I'm just, nap or like I'm eating something. But like it's also like individual thing. Like this is how I'm working. My things are working.
No, I actually think that it makes a lot of sense because I find if I haven't really gone out so much, then I'm starting to notice that I'm actually have less energy and my mood is lower, like I'm not as motivated or as happy. And so I think there's a very big correlation between like physical activity and being able to focus and being able to concentrate on your work. So at chess tournaments as well, it's very important not to just sit in your hotel room and then go to play the games. It's very important that you do something else. So like going for a walk or just doing something between the rounds that is not just preparing. Preparation is important to some degree, but your mental health is more important than your preparation because you cannot play a good chess game if you're not in the right headspace.
Yeah. And of course, like you can also just think about like which opening you can play. You're basically thinking about chess anyway.
Yeah, exactly.
And yeah, if you have this, like if you cannot think about the moves, if you don't see the moves, it's very, very like there are like different ways to work it out.
Yes.
And it's a pure like it's just a training that you can do, and it's like super easy. Probably you have heard about this guy's a grandmaster. He represents US, Timur Garev.
Yes, I've heard of him.
So he can play blindfold chess on the 20 boards. And I have seen that myself. Yeah, he can do that. And
okay.
to make it extra extra crazy, he also bikes at the same time. Like he does bike and plays the blindfold chess. And I have seen this live, and I was like, oh, what? And then I interviewed him, and I was also like just genuinely very curious how he's doing it. And he told me that it's much easier for him to focus when he's doing the sport, like when he's also physically moving. And then when he started just telling me things, and I was like, oh my God, I'm like, it's the same for me. So it always should be like the combination of the physical activity to push your brain to work more efficient. And just to play blindfold chess on 20 boards, it doesn't come like naturally, like
no, of course not. Yes,
gifted you like this.
Yeah, that's very good point. It's very good point.
You just work it out, and what he said, the technique, maybe you can also find it useful, is that you are starting not solving the positions like puzzles in your hand. You are just starting with one piece, like just put knight on a1 in your imagination, and then get this knight on a8, for instance, and calculate how many moves you can do that. Or just like try to solve some like very basic checkmate, like in 2 moves in your and then while you are like very confident and you're doing it in a second, then you are adding the pieces. And then you are like slowly doing that one by one, and then I don't know, like it can take like 1 week only with all this training that you can see the position in your mind, and it doesn't need some special skills or like, you know.
Yes. No, I've done a little bit of this. Is definitely also being in the habit of doing it, like doing a little bit every day of some blindfold checkmates.
There was a part of our trainings actually when I was a child. That was like, it was a part of our training. My coach was like forcing us to solve, and I also liked it very much. Like, so basically the training was like you're setting up this puzzle, really difficult puzzle, like chess study on the board. You look at it for a few seconds, you memorize where the pieces are, and then you take the board off, like the pieces off the board. And you're solving the puzzle. And it's actually quite torturing at the beginning, and he was doing it in a second, like just cleaning the board. But once you're doing it, then you're getting used to it, and you are like memorizing the most important, the key factors in the position, and that's not a problem actually to do it. You just need to focus a bit more.
So actually, we saw h4 in this position instead of rook t1. Sorry, I realized that we went off topic for a while.
Yeah.
But yeah, now there's this idea of g5. I suppose to try and open things up.
Yeah, I'm not a big fan of h4 here actually.
I think maybe we can take a look at board 1 now, because had some moves on Jovanka's game, and so we were lost here with b4, and so knight takes d4, knight takes d4, and is there I'm quite surprised that she did not play e takes d4 to fix this pawn.
Then she will have decisive on weak.
Yes, totally.
She took it with the
knight.
With the knight.
But now it feels like both of them are weaker.
Yeah, but the knight is very strong there. Much stronger than on f3. So with the king d2, you can actually guard both of them. So it's fine in that case.
Yeah, it's a very nice knight now.
Yeah.
Okay, so just some basic threats. King f2 and now bishop to f3, providing a little bit of coverage for the king, I guess, and putting some pressure on d5 so that it's not so easy to abandon with the rook, which is quite nice. And then rook to f6, pinning the bishop.
Yeah.
But after, like, in king here, you just have to go back, surely.
Because the pawn is hanging.
Yes. And do you think you could, like, repeat in this position? Or black would not, I think. Black would want to...
White will repeat it for sure, but black will not.
Yeah, exactly.
Has also more
exactly.
time on the clock.
Mm-hmm. No, I don't think Bobby Cheng would repeat in this position.
Yeah, maybe he can repeat it twice just to check if white is
That's
happy
true.
to make a draw, and then
continue.
Yeah.
Very psychological gameplay. But
actually, it happened in my game when I didn't repeat it the moves, but the position repeated itself 3 times, and I was like completely winning, and I was just moving around a lot just to just to burn the time from the clock. And I won the game. It was just a fine game. I came back, I'm analyzing the game with the engine, and engine gives like from -3 or something, 000 with my one move. And I was like, what I've done wrong? Like, there's nothing wrong. And then when I looked at the game throughout, because I was like really mysterious for me, the position repeated 3 times in past like 10 moves.
Right.
So I had
and
no idea.
Noticed?
No, like it was so difficult to understand. When you are repeating moves right away, you are aware of that. But like if the position repeats in 10 moves 3 times, that's quite risky actually. My opponent could just stop the clock and for a draw.
Yes. Yes, but I agree. It's very hard to notice.
Yeah.
So here in this position after king e2, if rook back, my first thought was knight to b5. And you seem to be quite happy. I guess the rook has to stay defending the pawn. And it's quite nice because you're still defending here as well.
Yeah, and I can play also rook d1 to go after d5 pawn. I can play rook
exactly,
d3.
and everything is being just held together, like very, very delicately.
Yeah, I agree with this. Shall we take a look at the board too? Because we had this exchange sacrifice there for a long time.
Yes. So board 2, we left with bishop to c8, and now we're taking the exchange sacrifice. And the reason for bishop c8 was taking with the a pawn. Have queen d3. So queen d3 seems quite a crucial detail, because now if bishop takes, you can play queen takes, and this is what happened in the game. So you are not giving the immediate passed pawn to the black side.
Exactly.
And now queen a5, f4 to try to make some progress here, and queen to a2. So
yeah, I like this move actually. Queen a2.
It's very active.
It attacks the pawn on b3 and also takes the b1 square under the control. So is white just losing the pawn on b3?
So we have e5 played, which is apparently the only good move in the position. And now queen to d2. So...
yeah, well, you can take on b3 obviously now.
Yeah.
It takes 6 and the pawn is going. And if you take on e5, that actually allows white to push the d6 as well. And in some variations, the pawn on f7 will hang. The rook will be open, and d7, d8 comes on the way. So that's a bit tricky. Do you see the point? What happens after e takes d6, for instance? What black wants?
I definitely would want to play this as white. And so now Now you have to stop the pawn, absolutely. So I guess the point of queen d2 is to have the queen on this file. So you have to open up this file, I guess, and to attack. But I guess you're also attacking g3, which is annoying. And then we have some threats.
Yeah. Well, d7, let's say.
Yeah.
White go for
also,
d7.
Like, this kind of. So d7, and then this check is being suggested now.
h2.
Yes, it seems to be the best move. And king h2. And you do have a little fork, but you can queen with check, so this is a big deal.
Yeah. Let's see this variation, actually, what happens. White can have 2 queens
White
and not
can have
win.
2 queens, and it's not winning the game. This is crazy. This is really crazy. I guess this because of this huge checkmate threat, right?
Yeah, yeah. You can save the
So
queen.
you have to play like rook here or something.
Knight g4, knight g2, and it's a check. It's a draw.
Right.
Wow, this can be the beautiful end of this game.
And it's going to be a perpetual check. Well. And I guess you can take here, but then you would have to play it out, so you would not get the perpetual check. So it's not going to be worth it if you're going for a draw. So this is very crazy. This is really, really, really crazy. Also, I was shown a crazy line here. Queen takes d4 instead of king h2, just because you're then giving up this without the checkmate threat being there.
Yeah, you're giving up queen with a check to your king. This is a bit
exactly
so crazy.
Yeah.
Queen f6
and rook e1. And you're but this is much harder because you're not getting the queen immediately. If at all.
And you are not really stopping rook getting on e8 with like knight d6 or knight g7. I'm gonna still play rook e8. Yeah.
Right. Very crazy position. Would be very fun to see this 2 queens on the board and perpetual check.
The same scenario as yesterday, right?
Yes, with the clock.
No time on the clock.
Yeah, that's very stressful. Because I think White is a very tricky player. He's really like always on the alert for any kind of counterplay, which is obviously the best thing you can do. But he's not gonna miss anything, and so now he takes d6.
I think he's a very good blitz player. That's very typical of the play, like good blitz players.
Yes, this is very nice. Let's maybe hop over to Alexandra Prado because we have some developments in her position. And this knight a5 move that we saw before, we have queen to h4, threatening, I guess, queen to f6 with some very clear threats. Knight to c4. So this is played. And now bishop takes and rook to d1. So this is very similar to the position that we analyzed earlier, except with a queen here on h4 instead of queen on g3. But basically, black is in trouble a bit with his king, having such an open position. This is very, very fun. And now,
any move gets even worse and worse for black here.
Yeah, now there would be this crazy, beautiful move, knight to d5. Was not played. Instead, we have a4, just, I guess, protecting the pawn. And rook to c8. But there's still the opportunity of knight to d5, and it would be really amazing to see it. I think also you can just play a move like queen to f6, because this was the whole idea, I suppose, behind queen queen h4. I guess laterally you are attacking this pawn, but this pawn is much less of a big deal when the king is here like this. And then you would have maybe this knight to d5 as well.
95. Basically opening the files, because after taking
exactly
on e5, e6 is coming on the way, and even though you have sacrificed a piece, and you might think that I don't have enough pieces, you have rooks then getting into the game.
Yes, there's just a lot here now to calculate. You have to look at all of these variations, and here you should be confident. You've got your bishop that's going to come in as well, and anything you're just going to take. So you're going to get your material back with interest for sure. And if bishop takes, I assume it's going to be the same story. And there's not really a lot that you can do here. So this would be very, very nice. And I think it's even nicer after queen to f6,
Right.
which Alexandra has set up. So so I hope to see this.
This can be the game of the round.
Yes, if we get this knight d5 sacrifice, then this will be like this would be very impressive, I think.
Yeah, I think so. I think she can find it. She has 9 minutes on
she
the
only
clock.
has 9 minutes. Yes, this is the thing, is she's looking very, very focused. She's, you know, in the deep concentration, and her opponent doesn't look happy, but I think he's just hoping that the clock will be his friend. And I really, really am rooting for her. I know as commentators, I was thinking about it earlier, we should be quite impartial. We probably shouldn't have favorites, but when you have such a beautiful position like this, you just have to hope that they play this beautiful move like knight d5.
Yeah, it's very nice, and you want to have these moves on the board.
So let's go back maybe to, what do we have? Not so much going on. Maybe we can go all the way back and look at Mr. Dodgy's game after it's been a while, because there's not so much progress. And he has made a draw. Oh, and it seems his they have made a draw.
My goodness, how many red?
Yes, I'm seeing it too.
Let's see.
So yes, so we were here and c5 was played immediately. So this is where we were up to in our analysis. c5 has to be played to liberate black's position. And queen to b3. So wasn't concerned about this. I guess you can just take the bishop, no problem. And queen to e7. So now there is this threat because the bishop cannot be captured, and obviously you have to address the pawn. So takes, and I guess, yes, there is the question of taking this bishop first with the queen, and knight takes, queen takes. There's a lot to calculate though. There's like a lot to calculate there. It's not super simple, because I guess you also are calculating this, and this is what I was saying earlier about calculating all these lines in your head, is you are sometimes getting confused between them. So bishop takes c5 is played, and then knight to d4. This is kind of something that we looked at earlier, except our queen already moved from the c file. So this is the position on the board. So I suppose the really big difference between this and this one is that we've removed a pair of bishops now, and this one seems more imbalanced as well. Okay, so we have a bishop to b5 miss, apparently. Apparently. Instead, it would be better to trade the rooks and to go for rook And if takes, then of course you can just take this bishop.
That's the one way to go to fair play check immediately after the
Yes,
game. It is not easy.
This is not very easy to spot. It's quite tricky. So I think this move makes a lot of sense. Just improving your probably like your two least active pieces here are your bishops. So improving the bishops makes a lot of sense. I've always been told that if you don't know what to do, then look for your worst piece and put it somewhere else. So queen a3. And we have a little bit of shuffling around and improving pieces. And you cannot take the rook because your queen is hanging. And then blunder, I feel like, is a very big decision. I'm not sure that the engine knows it's giving blunder because
engine is not in a good shape today.
I think the engine is drunk because this is like the second. This is the second best move, and it's really not bad. It doesn't make a big difference at all. So we can see there is not really any change in the valuation. Okay, so here the players agreed to a draw.
Yeah, in another it was so dramatic from the engine because when you saw first so many red.
Right. Yes, red exactly. When I saw the reds, I thought, wow, somebody has missed some really big win here. Nothing major.
It was quite solid. Good game. Actually,
yeah, pretty solid game. Black really didn't allow White to get any kingside attack, and neither of them wanted to play this endgame apparently. I'm quite surprised that Mr. Dodgy, however, took this draw. So he had a draw yesterday and a draw today. He's usually not. He's the kind of player who is very anti-draw. Like he thinks that I make too many draws. Like because in a couple of recent tournaments I've made draws when I've had a better position, which I know is a big chess sin. But so here we have just a very calm and quiet draw here. Okay, so something just happened on Alexandra's board. And waiting for...
we're reaching actually the time pressure situation in all the...
Yes, so it seems...
Mr. Drogi, I like that.
Mr. Drogi is good. She has played a move, but I can't see
Rook d6 was on the board, but she played that some time ago. Rook to d6.
I only have up to rook c8.
Rook c8. Then we have rook d6.
Rook d6.
Rook g8.
Rook g8.
And
knight d5.
There was also a move like 8x b5, 8x b5 somewhere. Maybe instead of rook.
Okay.
Yeah. And
takes rook here.
And rook to d1. This is the current position, according to what I see on the video.
Okay. So she is just kind of improving her position calmly. No sacrifice today. I mean, it makes sense. Like if you have a very nice position, you can be afraid to waste it. You know, you don't want to push too hard and regret it.
Yeah, exactly. It's still quite nice game. It's quite White is dominating the whole board, so
absolutely.
White to make some change.
If we flip this and look at it from Black's perspective, it's absolutely miserable. Like this position with all of your pieces just simply trying to defend your king. This king has not been safe for a long time. Black really is just trying to survive here, and he's hoping that Alexandra will make a mistake in time trouble because now she has less than 1 minute.
Actually, I just see her time on the camera, and maybe we don't have the accurate time. It says that she has 9 minutes, so That's what it says on the on the video.
She has 9?
Yes.
Oh, so I think maybe the DGT board is
Yeah,
broken
yeah.
then.
Sometimes the time.
Okay, this makes me feel much more relaxed about her position, knowing that she is not
Yeah.
playing with under 1 minute, because she doesn't look stressed out by the time. She looks
Yeah, she
very
doesn't
calm.
look like she has no time,
No,
like 20
she doesn't.
seconds.
No. Okay, let's maybe look over. We haven't had that much happen. Maybe we can pick up a new game because both board 1 and 2 are thinking.
Oh, board 2, we have knight f5. Wow.
Yes, we
is
do.
that?
That's true. So we had e takes and knight f5. So this was the line that we looked at, which is the most challenging continuation for black to play.
Wow, and he sees that in less than a minute, according to the clock we have. Maybe this clock is also not the accurate one, but like earlier he had 9 minutes and now he's 8 minutes only. So wow, he's really fast.
So here we only looked at d7, which is this on the board, or we have not got a move yet? Let me take a look. And can't see.
The pawn is on d7 already.
So it's played.
And
it's
the
played.
bishop is on d4.
So bishop d4 check. And this is a position that we're going to have. So I guess we have to see just if he goes for the line with queen takes d4. He goes for king to h2.
Wow, that's quite impressive. I can also see the clock. So white has 21 minutes and black has 6 minutes.
Okay, so we're not that far off.
Oh my goodness, white took the queen d4. They're going for it.
Okay, queen takes d4, queen takes d4. And now I think probably king h2. Queen c1 or rook f3 would have been better than d7, but then you might ask for fair play check. That's true, yes. Yes, if your opponent starts to play too well, I mean, there's nothing wrong with d7, but it does lead to this drawing line. So I guess, yes, this is very likely to be a draw. I mean, white is...
what a way to make a draw, actually. It's just not a average draw that you make. It's
no, not at all. Awesome. Not at all. You could never accuse them of a prearranged draw for this game.
No,
never, really. Ever.
And I'm also watching the video. We can see both of them sitting there. It's a fair game.
Yes, of course.
It's sometimes frustrating when you see your opponent makes all these sacrifices and very nice moves and walks a lot to the restroom. That is very unpleasant. You can't really blame anyone for cheating, but you know, you have a lot of questions you don't want to ask yourself.
Yes, my worst is when you're playing against specifically, usually happens with kids, and they're never at the board, right? Because they're looking at their friends' games, but then they come back and they play instantly. The best move instantly. They don't even really look at the position. They just somehow have intuited the best move. And then they go back and they look at their friends' games again.
Yeah, that's very annoying.
They're just not using any time and they're not at the board. But they're somehow playing such good moves. And or if sometimes you are at the misfortune of being the board where all of the children are congregating. So one of them in particular is playing you, and then all of their friends come and stand around them.
Oh my god, it's even worse than when there's just a showroom on your board and everybody looks like that.
Yes, and this happens a lot, especially if you're a streamer, because they all want to see the camera and they're like looking at the camera, trying to see stuff, but it's just a camera. It's just a camera. There's nothing going on.
They like to be in front of camera, and then they're watching the stream. So that's pretty cool. I had a situation when I was like, I played a game and I was like completely lost. I was about to resign, and my opponent was blitzing out like every single move. He was not letting me press the clock. And it was a bit like annoying, like just let me at least press the clock. Yeah, you can play the move, right?
Yeah.
And it's just like very unpleasant. Like chess is a lot of like the psychological game, but it should not be rude.
Yes.
And you should
Yeah.
always take into consideration what your opponent feels like, especially if someone is losing. That's already enough. You don't necessarily put extra pressure. Just to
Yes.
be a like kind human being. And and then I'm about to resign, and I was like, okay, just I'm gonna make one last move. And he played very fast. It was a blunder, the only blunder. Like in like 100 moves, only one move was losing. Like any other move was fine. And I was like, okay, gotcha. So he was like playing very fast, and I won this game. He was like so frustrated. And he was like call out the game. He was actually having bubble gum, which is also not very nice.
Yes, it's rude.
When like we're basically sitting in like half a meters away to each other, like really bubble gum and like, I don't know, steak on the board. Like, why you're eating on the board? And I was like so angry and so disgusted, and I was like talking to my child, like, guys, I'm feeling so bad. And like I couldn't hide my emotions. And then I think he saw my stream.
I saw some moves being made. I saw White just put something on e8. So I'm assuming that we've had Queen f6, Rook e1, and like
like King is on g7. That's the move.
King g7 and Rook e8 just played very quickly there. I think that this is likely the position we have. Can you confirm the Queen is on?
Yeah. This is the position, and Black is thinking. So
yes.
Black has to make knight h6 now to make a draw. This is the one way to go. And the idea is to play knight g4 next move, and to just get this perfect shot.
So to show everybody that we have King to h3, knight to f2, and this is going to be a draw. And if you come back here, it's going to be checkmate. No, sorry, it's going to be a checkmate here.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. h6, but I think there are also other moves to. Is it other move there? No, knight h6 looks the quite decent one. If he saw all these moves, so he has to see knight h6, and he goes for it.
Yes.
Oh, did you see the face here of Sebastian? He was so surprised with this move.
Oh, with knight h6?
Yeah.
No, I didn't. So it's been played?
It has been played. Was there any other move to actually
So here, is there another move? Queen to d4, queen, and then knight h6 is just the same in a different move order. So it's the same idea.
Queen d4 is a bit weird to me.
Yes, it's not making as much sense. Actually, I have knight to e3 also as oh no, sorry, knight to e3. I'm sorry, I don't know what I'm doing. Knight to e3. Sorry, I was just had the board upside down in my head. Knight to e3. And then rook takes apparently.
And you get queen d6.
Yes,
that's why he was surprised.
Yes.
He was surprised. White could actually, Black could.
And here you have the same checking idea.
And if you take the knight on e3, then queen d6 stops the pawn.
Yes. I guess you can keep the pawn though, but you're not queening it.
Yeah, queen d5, I guess. No. f5 is possibility. f5.
Yes, this is very nice. I think Sebastian is looking not very happy.
Yeah, he was quite surprised. with the reaction. And we're so lucky these days to have the cameras to see what
It
is
makes a
really
big
happening.
difference. Makes a really big difference to see them. So, do we have anything? Nothing. I'm very curious about Bobby, Cheng, and Jovanka because we've got nothing for a long time, and Bobby Cheng down to 3 minutes with no move.
Oh, do you know what? There are like a few games which just started right now. I
he's
think it's
just played. A few games that just started?
on the board 4, we have a Roland Bezuidenhout against Plat. And we have also board 7 and 8.
This is very strange. They've just started now.
There are a few more games as well on next boards too. I think they somehow divided in like 2 parts, or maybe there are like some group of people who arrived late today and they had some like arrange it with your opponent.
Yeah, it's possible.
So it is 2 p.m. there, right? 2 p.m.
Yes, it's 2:15 p.m. So you and I are on the same time actually. We're both CET. Okay, well maybe we can take a look at board 6.
Yeah. Oh, the bishop.
Because this was the board with the crazy pawn pushes way earlier that we looked at with b6, and then so actually this is where we got to. We didn't see this move, queen to a4. So your grandmaster, I'm gonna call it the grandmaster move, knight fd7, because it's really cool. Choosing to bring this knight over to attack c5 instead of the knight on b8 because we're controlling the c6 square. This is exactly what we looked at, but we did not look at this idea of queen to a4. So now we have castles, and of course there is no pin, so this can be captured. And knight to b3. So I guess this knight to b3, we're trying to keep the pawn without allowing a4 push to do this, but you never want your queen to be like the babysitter, you know? Like it's not her job.
It's weirdly stuck there, has not too many ways to go. And if black finds a proper way here, like the engine says it's really good for black, and this suggestion is like 5 and knight c6, 2 good moves here. That's a bit too much, actually.
Yes, e5, knight c6. I think knight c6 is what was played, and engine doesn't seem to like it as much as e5, but I think this move is very, very natural.
Can we show why e5 is so good? That's actually quite funny.
Yes.
So e5, and let's say you play bishop g2 or some move, you take knight to b6. You're sacrificing the knight, and next you are playing bishop to d7, and the queen is dropped. Yeah, that's the reason why queen a4 is not a good idea, and black could just drop it.
Wow, this is really beautiful. And I think that you get this like weird Spider-Man sense in chess where like when a piece is in very much the wrong place, and you know, like some moves when you make it you feel like it's wrong, like you feel it in your gut, like this is not where it's supposed to be. And I guess the engine here is showing us exactly why this queen here feels so weird, because she's really just actually not able to go anywhere. And even without this move e5, the queen is severely limited in where she can go. So knight to c6 was played. I think this e5 idea is actually very hard to see. It's very hard to see this queen trap.
Well, if it's a puzzle and you have been told find the best solution, you will go for it.
Yeah, of course. If you have a puzzle. Okay, so bishop to g2 and now knight to f6. So this is a bit strange to me because we did just move the knight from f6 to try to grab this pawn. And do you know what this seems to be a case of? So we have white here playing we have white pieces here being played by an international master, 2459, and black being played by 2240. I think that if you're playing up, it feels like you believe your opponent more. Like if they're bluffing, you're more likely to believe them if they're an international master and you're an untitled player. So I think black is just giving too much credit here to white's position, because black actually played everything very well in this opening.
Exactly, yeah.
And it does seem that we have some board malfunction here, because it says that white is on 000 for the clock, but I highly doubt this. We only have 22 moves showing. And I mean, of course, it would be like white's dream for black to capture here, but that's never ever going to happen, because these pawns are just much too strong, and you would really be damning your position. Like you absolutely cannot do this. So bishop to d7 and knight to b5. We don't want any discoveries on the queen. Knight to e4. And the queen moving out of the way, which seems like a very good idea. And adding some extra defense to this a bit.
White is not giving up. Like, no, I'm not giving up. Oh, wait. I like the move rook to a6. It wants to capture the pawn on b6, and because of the
yes, you cannot take.
Yeah, exactly.
Yes, this is very creative. I really like. We've seen a lot of very creative chess.
Yeah, today is the rook day.
It's a rook day today. Yeah.
Yeah. Definitely. This is how we're learning how the rook moves.
So knight to d6, and actually there was this chance now to play rook takes, and if you take, then taking here, and this is like a positional exchange sacrifice. So
yeah, one actually, I like it so much.
Yeah.
I like it with the next idea of like whenever queen goes, you can play f5 with the idea to push f4, and black has a beautiful kingside attack here.
Yes, I would be a bit scared here as white, honestly, because now there's really nothing you can do here. You just have this pawn that you have to keep an eye on it, but it can't do anything. And now you're being assaulted on the king side. So this would have been very nice, but actually was not played. We have instead bishop takes, pawn takes, and queen to b8. So maneuvering around the pawns, I guess just saying we're going to take your pawn. Castles, knight takes pawn, and this little pin here. So actually maybe this was not the right way to go about it, because the pin is a little bit annoying.
Oh, knight c4 here has been played, just because it could get really dangerous for black if you don't do.
Yeah, exactly. And now bishop takes b8 and knight takes a3. And that's all we have, and we seem to have a slightly malfunctioning board, unfortunately. So I'm not sure how much more we will get of this game. But here in this position, to maintain an advantage, you have to play this with bishop to d6, and this is a nice fork. So both pieces, well, the knight is hanging and the rook is obviously a rook. So we have to protect the knight and give up the exchange. So this is nice, actually.
Black is getting one of the pawns back.
Yes.
E6
yes,
or
b6 at least.
Yeah. And so I think it's enough compensation. For sure white has more chances to win here, but black's pieces are quite nicely placed on the queen side. And we don't have any more moves, right?
No, this is all we have for now, just up until knight takes a3. Yes, up until knight takes a3. So we did get, we're just waiting, I guess, for bishop to d6. And
Maybe we can go on a board too, because like they have
yes.
they've made some moves rather fast, and also Black has 1 minute on the clock, but this seems to be ending
Right.
quite soon.
So actually our DGT board is not updated. We only have until knight f5 still. But we know that
And
we know that d7
before,
and bishop here,
okay.
here. We know that
No,
all
no,
of this was
first,
yes,
okay.
sorry.
First, thinking
Here
here.
and queen to f6, rook to e1, king to g7, rook to e8. And you saw knight to h6 played.
Knight h6, and then we had bishop f3 to stop knight g4.
Okay.
Queen d4. D8 queen. And queen to f2 has just played.
This is very nice. And now, if you want to save your bishop, you cannot stop knight to g4 check.
So bishop g2 has been played. If you move the king away, then Black will capture the bishop, and it will be dangerous for White to survive there. There is no check to Black's king, and even though you have extra exchange, it's not worth it to go for that. So bishop g2 was the decision that has been made, and now after bishop g2, knight g4 will happen. And that we have it already on the board. So the king goes on h3. You can also play king h1. Doesn't really matter too much because now Black has the move queen to g1, threatening mate in 1. And Black has to repeat the moves. There is no way to checkmate Black's king. So let's see. Check. King goes on h7. No, h7.
Sorry, of course.
H8, king goes on g7. And we have king to f6. And you have to stick around f6 and g7 square and just move there.
Yes.
Yeah, Black cannot also risk to play for a win because then Black's king will be checkmated.
Yes, it's actually this draw is much more fun, I think, than the knight perpetual check because both sides are threatening checkmate.
Yeah,
really nice.
Yeah, they want, and if they don't repeat the moves, then it will be lost.
Be lost for either side, exactly.
Wow, I like this game. Starting from the very beginning, we have seen very beautiful rook lived here, and then White also played quite nicely. And the end is the best part of this game. I like this end.
Yes, the end has been really beautiful chess. This is the chess that I really love to watch. And it kind of reminds me, because I haven't been playing so much recently, kind of reminds me of why I play chess, you know?
Yeah, you want to play now again, right?
Yeah, exactly. Now I want to play.
I have the same feeling. And what is really impressive here, Daniel had really a low time on the clock, and he's finding all these moves very fast. He has not left the board, so he's so focused, fully focused, and he knows what he's doing.
Yes, and Sebastian is not looking happy. He's like, his body language, he's tapping his feet, he's kind of stressed, you know, he's got his hands on his neck. Like, it must be frustrating. It must be a little bit frustrating because also yesterday's win, obviously he's very, very glad he won yesterday, but it's not the most rewarding win, you know, because, you know, you win just like this at the end, like very quickly. And
to make a draw with white pieces, obviously in the beginning of the tournament, is not the dream of top-seeded players, but
it looks like they're repeating moves.
Yeah, but it's also very important to play the solid chess and not to lose the game, but to hold the positions. Yeah, I think they will just make a few more moves and this game will end in a draw. Do we have some moves on the first board? We haven't checked that for some time.
Yes, we have a whole load of moves now because we were waiting for a long time for it to update, but now we have almost 10 moves. Okay, so we have king to e2, which is where we were last, followed by rook to d6. So this is exactly what we said, is that the rook would simply have to go back. And now g4. So no knight to b5, but maybe the knight is a bit precarious on b5. So bishop to d7, and now you cannot put the knight on b5, okay. King to d2, and we're really holding everything together with the king. King to g7, g5, f6, g takes, bishop takes, and rook to b3. So this is this idea that you mentioned earlier, Ketty, where we can try to go after the a-pawn, and actually feel a little bit better now after this g4, g5, because at least the pawns are no longer doubled, even though they're isolated. It's much easier to mobilize an isolated pawn than a doubled pawn. So this is really nice that Jovanka has managed to liquidate that pawn. So how are you feeling about her position now?
I like it. I like it way much more now because White centralized the king on d2 to guard those weaknesses. I like the knight on d4. I also like the rook on b3. I have a feeling that it was White who was making all the moves and improving the position, and also she got rid of the double pawns. And if we ask also on the other side what Black did for the last few moves, not too much, right? He didn't really create any pressure, but also there's no any damage here in Black's position too. So I think it's quite solid for both sides, and White is doing a great job to improve the position.
Absolutely, yes. All Black did really was just bring his bishops over a little bit, but I am so converted to this knight on d4 now. When I asked you earlier why not fix your pawn structure and play e takes, this knight on d4 is clearly such a strong piece, and it just wouldn't have been anywhere near as good otherwise. So I feel like I really learned something here. And we have a couple more moves now that just came through. So h5, bishop to e2, bishop to g5, bishop to d3, rook to f6. Now I'm a little bit worried, but we have rook to f1, so no infiltration. And now rook to e8. So how are we protecting e3 is my question.
Yeah, because if we play knight to c2, we're gonna have move like bishop a4, I guess.
Yes.
And then we're going after c2 knight and the pawn on e3, but seems like there's even stronger move than this one, according to the engine.
So I have after knight c2, rook takes rook, bishop takes, rook f8, and I guess you cannot.
You're getting rook f2 next move, and there will be a horrible pin on the second rook. Play bishop to e2.
This is very, very uncomfortable.
Yeah, so you can play
what other options do we have? So to defend this pawn is looking very, very almost impossible. I guess you could argue that for this exchange we're going to win on a3.
Yeah. If you play rook to e1 and guard the pawn in that way, then rook f2 is a very strong move there.
Yes, yes.
So, you're losing the pawn anyway.
Yes. So maybe we just take on a3 and we let this happen.
King c2, I guess.
I guess you still have this problem at the end where you get a tempo on the bishop.
Yeah, and you're going after g2 pawn. That's the the dangerous. That's the dangerous thing.
This is not happening because of g5, g4 coming.
So it is white to play, right? She's thinking.
Yes.
No, she made the move. She made the move.
She has made a move.
Oh, they have a bit different position. I don't know how they reached there. The e3 pawn is gone. I think he captured with the bishop.
Right. So we're missing a white move then.
And there is the bishop on f5.
Have we played rook takes f6 maybe?
Yeah, bishop e3, king c2, king takes, rook a3.
No.
Interesting. I don't see this. The rook is on c8. The rook is on rook c8 because you want to take bishop g4.
Right.
Knight went to. No, knight is on c5 or on b5. Can I go on b5?
Yes.
It is knight on b5, yeah, in front of the pawn. And then we have bishop f5, I guess.
It's hard to see when you're trying to look at the board from the side. Let's take a look at Alexandra Prado, who's apparently just won her game. Yes, and her board is now set up. But unfortunately we don't have the moves. So it does seem like in general we have some DGT issues today. Couple of boards not updating, and then other boards updating kind of in batches of moves. So it's a bit tricky for us to analyze then. Maybe we can see nothing here, nothing here. Maybe we can check board 2 is over, so they have made a draw, I believe.
Yeah, that's draw.
Made a draw, surely.
So basically, we have this board. Oh, we have moves. We have moves now on the first board.
On first board. I still have up to.
You can refresh there, or I can tell you the moves. Yeah, there we go.
Okay, perfect. So we were not all the way back here. We were around here, right?
Yeah.
They've made a draw, or no? It just popped up. No, they definitely have not made a draw. So it just popped up that they've made a draw on chess.com, but I don't believe they. Oh no, they're analyzing. They've made a draw, I think.
Analyzing, yeah.
Yes, they're analyzing. So this is the position, and they've made a draw. And they're just moving the pieces. I think that the moves that we have, they're just moving them. They're just moving them. It's not the game. Like they're just going.
Oh! He just found out Rook f8 is winning. Look at this. Bobby Cheng. Oh, he's very disappointed.
Oh, he's unhappy.
Yeah.
But this is a really great result for Jovanka. And there is Shore.
Oh, look at him. He wants to analyze more. Yes. Game is done. Put the king back in the center. It's like, wait. Oh, that's so funny. That's so funny. Look how disappointed he is.
Oh, yeah. Oh,
look at that.
Oh, I feel almost bad, but I'm so happy for this result for Jovanka. It's a very good result for her.
Smile.
Yeah. And yeah, he's not gonna be happy.
You know what happens sometimes? You see the line, correct line, and somehow, whatever reason, you just make the wrong move.
Yes, yeah. But you know, they're both playing pretty low time as well. So it's very understandable. And Jovanka has not taken her coat off the whole time. She's very cold. It's very cold in the venue apparently. Oh,
Oh
he looks
no. Oh,
he
look at
looks so
him,
happy.
Bobby, so disappointed. He
Mm.
left the jacket, he left the coat there.
Oh, he did.
Pick it up. Because like just imagine how much emotions is there. Like she just walks
Yes,
away in the winter without
yes.
coat.
Because really, like when she went into this endgame, I was skeptical. Here at this queen e3 move after this trade, we were both a little bit skeptical of this pawn structure because
Oh
it's
my
not
goodness, you're
fun to
standing
play.
there and thinking about the position
Yeah,
again.
and then we have a draw, so
Yeah.
oh
Definitely had a better position. And
mm, yes. Oh, I hate to see people when they're upset after their game. Like I hate it when because I totally know that feeling myself, and it's not fun. It's not
oh,
fun to
look at them.
experience.
Oh no, he's calculating the moves.
So we
For
have
us, it's an opportunity to have
not
camera view
much.
right now.
Again, maybe board 2 also ended. So um, what do we have? We have board 4 is still going. So this is a game that we haven't looked at for a while. It was oh no, we haven't looked at this one at all. Actually, this was in English, but a different English. We didn't look at this one, did we? With E5
I think
reversed.
the game which started later on today.
Yes, it's possible. But they both have very low time, so I'm not sure. I'm not certain. On board 4. And we have reverse Sicilian.
Oh,
So this is the one with the fun name. It's called the Great Snake Variation. And was it Gary Kasparov who said that you should never play a chess opening named after an animal or something? Like, so
never heard about it.
I know that somebody said this. I thought it was Gary Kasparov, but I could be wrong. It might be somebody else. Uh, so yes, we have.
I have not even heard the Great Snake.
I have only heard of it because I used to play the English, and it just tells you the name on chess.com. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
The
So
thing is
yeah.
that I never analyzed
Mhm.
the game on chess.com.
Ah,
I use the chess base and you don't
yes.
have that option there. And also I think chess.com has all these like fancy names that is given for each move.
Yes, that's
Uh,
true.
Very often I don't even know what are the openings like because of like these names just
Mhm.
given. But
And
yeah.
I totally agree. And with chess.com, the one thing that always surprised me is they never named the Jobava London. They just call it the Chigorin, like Queen's Pawn opening Chigorin variation. And it's been like that for ages, even though the Jobava London has been really popular for ages, and they just never renamed it on there. So I was always surprised by that.
Yeah. Oh,
But anyway,
noticed.
let's continue. So this is a very common plan in the English, is to play like rook b1 and to try to make some progress here on the queen side. And both sides have done this. Sam Shankland once said all openings named after animals are nonsense, apparently. Okay, so maybe there are a couple of different people attributed with this fact. This little quote. It's possible. Okay.
Yeah.
So we've got some shuffling, which is classic English opening. We love to shuffle in the English. And I actually quite like White's position now, like with this semi-open F file.
Yeah.
But then apparently not queen to F2. Queen to F2 seems like a very natural move to me. Like you make the gun, rook b F1 if you can, and you put pressure on F7. But I guess this bishop does tie everything together. You need to remove it if you want to make progress. and this knight is going to be hard to displace. So maybe there isn't as much pressure as we think there is. So this nice intermezzo, taking on e6. Pawn takes, rook f3, and we made the gun. Just lots of shuffling and knight maneuvers now. Okay. And this is a long game. There are 50 moves. We're not caught up yet.
Yeah, we can
just shuffle through. That is a very active black rook. Okay, and this is where we are with the knight on e7. So back to an equal position. I was a little bit afraid for a second of how active the rook was, but I guess this is not so bad. I guess the frustrating thing for white though is that bishop is pinned.
Yeah, you can play king to f4, and
yes.
with that, you can set up a trap, because like after king f4, you can take on c6 with rook or with knight. Doesn't really matter, because we have this funny taken bishop d5 check. And what's very important, we are on time just to get back with the bishop to control b pawn. So king g7, or yeah, and after b3, we can play bishop g4, and we're catching that on.
This is very nice. Very nice for white, yes. So I guess king to f4, we have to see. It makes perfect sense, because instantly when you see this, you need to unpin from the position.
Yeah, and here after b3, black also has this quite dangerous pawn. We can
can do just take, no? Or do you not want to trade this minor piece?
Oh, no. I'm not attached with business.
Sorry?
I'm not attached with business. I can give.
No. I mean, here, of course, you're winning a pawn in an endgame where you're gonna have two passed pawns. It feels very good, right? Of course, we want to do this. But I guess then this
seems to be quite nice. Actually, after king e5, you have two extra pawns. It's enough to win. But the thing is, rook to c3 can be played here to hold the
to keep your pawn.
Yeah, and now white has to be has to be careful. I would just play automatically here, rook to b7, to cut the king from the 7th rank. But oh no, the pawn is hanging. Our pawn is hanging on h3.
Yes.
So
h4. h4. Maybe we can just go here, so it's not so good.
Let's take rook to king to f7. You can go rook to b7, and you can't really activate the king anymore, because if you play king to e6, I'm gonna capture the pawn on h7 and get back on b7 very quick.
Yes, but also I'm worried that if you go back, then I'm gonna come over and checkmate you.
That's possible,
right? It feels like not impossible.
You can also do h5, h6 to block the pawn.
This is nice.
Then fix the pawn there, and to just create some kind of nets.
Yes, it feels extremely unfortunate to have to go back here to defend this pawn, because you obviously cannot let white have these two passed pawns. But having completely inactive king whilst white's king is really causing a lot of problems. It's very uncomfortable. Here maybe you can even push, and I don't know. This seems to be nice. I wouldn't be surprised if this game ended like relatively quickly after these kinds of trades happened, you know, if they were to happen. But I'm not even convinced we're gonna get the moves.
Yeah, because something is wrong with this board actually, and Plat. Vojtech is very good grandmaster. Actually, I'm quite surprised that he has an issue like that with much lower rated player. But like we have seen today, a lot of upsets, and basically first 3 boards have not even scored. They made draws. And this is the 4th board. If it's also ends in a draw, that makes it today in the round 3. We had already so strong pairings that they made a draw. Like the leaders did not really score.
I'll just get up the current results list that I have for today. So I have, we'll just run this through for the audience. So we have draw on board 1 between Jovanka, Houska and Bobby Cheng. We have a draw on board 2. It's not shown, but I believe it was a draw between Sebastian, Bogner and Daniel Fischer. So these are 2 very good results for these international masters. Board 3, also a draw. And board 4, no results. Board 5 is fixed board. It's Alexandra Prado's streaming board. People might be wondering. It's very common for streamers to have a fixed board at the tournament because they need space for the camera. So we have a nice win for Alexandra Prado. We have a win on board 6 for Marcos Collados against his opponent Roman, whose name is cut off. I've got a draw on board 7 between Lorenzo Fava and Jonah Willow. Jonah is a very strong English player, like early 20s. He's close to being Grandmaster now. We've got a win for Daniel Gormally on board 8 against Moritz Collin. And board 9, a win for Yang Fanzu against Suraj MR. And then board 10, Jacob Boswell losing to Maciej Sopor.
Much.
Yes. Sorry, I'm not good with pronunciations apparently. But yeah, so this is actually quite interesting. Like some upsets, like you don't really expect both of the top boards to be a draw this early on against a lower rated player. So this is a really very nice result for these international masters. And I think that because we're not receiving any more moves, then we might have to end the broadcast. What do you think, Ghasi? Do you think that there are any games that we were following that we...
I'm actually looking at the playing venue right now. I see only one board live, which is board 4, but actually there are like 2 more, but we don't have camera or digital boards there. So I think it's fine because like this one game seems to be on the board 4. They're playing fast and it might be just a drawish.
Yes, and I'm not sure that the DGT is actually updating for us.
Yeah.
But I really enjoyed today's games. I think that
Which one was your favorite today?
Yes, this is the question of the day. I think that perhaps board 2 was my favorite because of the how, just to show again, because of how we got a beautiful draw. White was able to promote a queen, sacrificing their queen for the bishop, and it was just beautiful chess, even though it ended in a draw. And I think that draws get a bad reputation for being boring, but this wasn't boring at all.
Not at all. I like this game starting from the very beginning. We had some nice ideas, rook sacrifice in a Petrosian way, just to sacrifice and rook lifts. I liked very much how Alexandra Prado played. Actually, it was beautifully outplayed. And my favorite emotions from today was on the first board, Bobby Cheng. Sometimes chess is also beautiful because of the emotions that people are creating. So to combine today, I think this is like few things that I'm gonna take it from today. And actually, the last game that we were observing on the board 4 has just ended in few minutes ago, and they replaced the kings in the center. So it makes next round, which will be tomorrow. Tomorrow we're gonna have two rounds, like double round, even more interesting because now other people will get on the top boards, and we're gonna see more people joining the leaders boards, and it's always good to discover new players, and I'm sure it's gonna be very, very interesting round tomorrow.
Yes, for sure. I'm excited to follow some more games tomorrow, some more stories. Very happy today that we did not have any tech problems.
Yeah.
All went perfectly. Even our cameras, we only lost them once for like 2 seconds and then they came back. So this was really nice. For those of you who have watched, thank you so much for tuning in to the commentary. Katy, thank you so much for joining me. I know that you're not coming back, but you'll be dearly missed. And it's been really, really nice to spend some
I'll be
time
coming
with
back.
you.
I'm not coming back tomorrow, but I will come back to more days, to other days, to see the last rounds too. So thanks very much, you two. And also your stories are so nice, and it also makes me think about many things. Yeah, have fun for the other rounds, and I'll be joining you one in the middle and one in the last round, and looking forward to get back, because this event is very, very interesting.
Perfect. Awesome. I can't wait. Thank you so much. And we will be back tomorrow at the same time. So 11 a.m. British GMT, so UK time. So bye, everybody.